Okay, nobody is here yet, but I'm gonna go ahead and load up a couple of videos that I wanted to go over that I found on YouTube from like 2 years ago. One of these is from the mother of Kayla Montgomery. So this is when I believe Kayla had left Adam Montgomery and was living with her. They then had to get a restraining order against Adam because they didn't want him showing up at the mom's house. And I thought this video was interesting because she goes on to say something that just kind of caught me, like made me go like, because she doesn't remember the date that she last saw Harmony, but it's interesting in the way she answers. So I'm gonna share this video. Hey Allison, hey girl. I found this old video, so I'm gonna show this one real quick because it was just like in my feed, and I was like, oh, I don't think I ever saw this one. So I'm gonna play this one because I think it's interesting what she says. Let me make sure all my volume is up. Okay, and here we go. Like I said, I'm not 100% sure if Kayla was living with her at the time, but I do know the circumstances of when Kayla left Adam. Like I said, she had to the mother ended up getting a restraining order so that Adam wouldn't go to her home or whatever. And Kayla did stay with her mom for a little bit after she left Adam. So,
It's just hell. And she has made her choices, and that's all I can say. I'm just asking you, just for the children's sake, I do pray for Harmony, and I did have something come to me today for the police that I thought may help, which I did tell the police I'm not going to give that out yet because I don't want to hinder it in any way. Just please.
When did you see Harmony?
It was, I knew it was in the wintertime. I wasn't exactly sure when. And when I spoke with my daughter, she was telling me it was a day after Thanksgiving. Okay.
That last year in 2020 or 2021?
No, that was in 2019.
so I thought that answer was very interesting because she just says that she remembers that it was wintertime. And she says, "But my daughter told me it was the day after Thanksgiving." But that okay, so yeah, so maybe her mom did see Harmony the day after Thanksgiving, but we don't have anyone that can vouch for seeing Harmony besides what the mom is saying, which possibly that could just be Kayla's story. I mean, I don't know. But we don't really have anyone that actually laid eyes and can say definitively that they seen Harmony after like November 29th, November 28th, Thanksgiving Day. We don't even know for sure if Courtney Garcia, who testified, actually saw Harmony. But the state is insisting that it is December 7th. So I don't know. I guess this week we'll find out way more. But yeah, she said I couldn't remember, but my daughter told me it was the day after Thanksgiving. Um, I don't know, Abby, whenever you're okay, so whenever you're like on this page on my say you're on my channel here, whenever you click on subscribe, I don't know who this is, but you have to make sure that whenever you click the bell and you click all, that you'll get like all the notifications. But yeah, so I'm gonna finish playing this one.
Ever asked your daughter where she was after that? That you never saw her again? Well, she told me that because they came here the end of December during the holidays, and they were here briefly. Um, I asked her, I'm like, well, I expected Harmony to do them, and they said no. And I know they've been kind of living on the streets and in a car kind of thing. And well, she didn't say no. She said she's with her mother, and I didn't question it because I don't know. I didn't know until all the news, the history of the family. And Adam, for the first couple of years, was some sweet guy, and he's not. He is pure evil. He is pure evil. So I really, really hope the information that came to me today, that can help in the search for Harmony, and that's really where my prayers are now because my grandchildren will be with me, so I'm not going to be worried about them. And just please respect the privacy.
Yeah.
This is so scary for
Do you think
children.
Harmony's still alive?
I hope and pray she's still alive, but it's been 2 years, so I don't know. I don't know.
You got to be heartbroken over this.
I'm distraught. My body's been shaking every couple hours because I can't get away from it. You know what I mean? I can't not check the news. I want to know what's going on, and I have spoken to police several times.
Do you think your daughter had any involvement in her disappearance?
Kayla told me that just as in her affidavit, and I drilled my daughter. Believe me, I asked. With her history, yeah, she used to be a liar, but I know how to get the truth out of my daughter. The youngest daughter, her daughter wasn't born yet, and Harmony was with him. He dropped her off at work, and he said to her, "I am bringing Harmony to her mother." And then he came back later. I don't know how many hours. I don't know that. She was working at a Dunkin' Donuts. I've given all that information to the police, but Kayla said, "Where is he?" She didn't say where she is, but I don't know. I'm so confused right now.
And when do you think that happened?
In my mind, from what I've tried to gather, and all the media has been great with trying to get all the information out there, and the social media I thought has been great too. But I think it happened like in a week period, and I think it happened from December 6th till prior to December 6th. So December 6th, anytime after Thanksgiving, the day after Thanksgiving to December 6th. So it's like there's the 30th of the month, so it's like 6 to 7 days. So I think something happened in that week, and I don't know what day. I asked the police if they checked my daughter's records, because my children are brought up where they have to tell the truth and they have to fess up. And my daughter has broken every time for me in the past.
Okay, wait. So she pretty much says the end of November to sometime around December 6th or 7th. It seems like, okay, this video was 2 years ago. So it seems like even then it's kind of like she had an idea of what had happened. This was January 6th of 2022 that this was posted. How would she know just a roundabout date of something that could have happened? You know what I mean? Like, that says a lot. And so pretty much on the stand, w like, the dates and when she saw her is basically what her daughter told her it was, not from what her own memory was, you know? So, like, I just question the credibility of the mom too, because, I mean, Kayla is her daughter. So, I don't know. I don't know, y'all. I hadn't heard any of this. This is crazy. So she had a roundabout of the exact dates. I'm gonna show y'all another interview after this that pretty much it's 2 years ago, and they said the same thing.
Where they have to tell the truth and they have to fess up. And my daughter has broken every time for me in the past. And I said to her, and I said to her, and I said to her, I said, "Are you sure?" I said, "What couple doesn't communicate about this?" and so forth. And I know those are the questions out there. My daughter does have a good heart, but I don't know what her heart was on this, but I do believe her. She's staying very, very consistent in what she's saying. And I can tell by her, I'm her mom, I can tell.
So that whole drop off, you're saying that's between Thanksgiving, December 6th,
Day after Thanksgiving and before December 6th.
2019.
Yes.
Okay.
And what's the significant of December 6th that makes that date stick in your head?
That date was reminded to me by my daughter because they were homeless and they needed a place to come. And I said, "Well, I don't really have a room, my landlord." So they were just here during the holiday, during that time frame.
You said Adam is the devil. Why do you say that?
He can sweet talk and swindle like he did with us for the 2 years. And then everything he points the finger at everybody else and talks up quite the storm. And it's a lot of, he talks like jail talk. That's all I can
What
say.
about abuse? The allegation yesterday was he was abusive towards Harmony.
I don't know about that because I didn't have much when
Okay, so I didn't cut it off like that. The video just like ended abruptly like that. So I guess that's all they had on that one, but that was definitely interesting. Cuz it makes you think, she knew that um 2 years ago. She was saying that. So it makes you think that Kayla maybe did confide a little in her mom, told her something. I don't know. But there's the link to that video in case anybody wants to rewatch it and listen. And then I have this is when the investigators, so this is 1 year ago. This was October 20, what says 1 year? October 24th, 2022 is more than a year ago, but this is when they announced that Adam was officially charged with Harmony's murder.
To New Hampshire, where officials in Manchester are giving an update on the investigation into the 2019 murder of Harmony Montgomery.
Good afternoon. I'm New Hampshire Attorney General John Formella, and I'm joined here today by Manchester Police Chief Alan Aldenberg and the team from the Manchester Police Department and members of my office. We're here today to provide a further update regarding the ongoing investigation into the 2019 murder of Harmony Montgomery. As you'll recall, back in January, we announced that 5-year-old Harmony likely disappeared sometime between November 28th and December 10th of 2019. In August of this year, after almost 8 months of investigative work undertaken by the Manchester Police Department, the Attorney General's Office, the U.S. Marshals Service, the FBI, and other law enforcement partners, we announced that we had concluded that 5-year-old Harmony was murdered in Manchester in early December of 2019. This conclusion was based on multiple sources of investigative information, including biological evidence. Since August, the Manchester Police Department, the Attorney General's Office, and our other law enforcement partners have continued to investigate this case in an effort to seek answers and justice for Harmony. Today, we are announcing another major step in this investigation. Earlier this morning, Adam Montgomery was arrested for the murder of Harmony Montgomery in 2019 and other related charges. Specifically, Mr. Montgomery has been charged with the following 4 crimes. Second-degree murder for recklessly causing the death of Harmony Montgomery, a person under 13 years of age, under circumstances manifesting an extreme indifference to the value of human life, by repeatedly striking Harmony in the head with a closed fist in Manchester on or about December 7, 2019. Falsifying physical evidence for purposely altering, destroying, concealing, or removing the body of Harmony Montgomery with a purpose to impair its verity or availability in an official proceeding or investigation in Manchester between approximately December 7th, 2019 and March 4th, 2020. Abuse of corpse for purposefully and unlawfully removing, concealing, or destroying the corpse of Harmony Montgomery or any part thereof in Manchester between approximately December 7th, 2019 and March 4th, 2020. And tampering with witnesses or informants for purposely attempting to induce or otherwise cause Kayla Montgomery to testify or inform falsely in Manchester between approximately December 7th, 2019 and January 4th, 2022. Mr. Montgomery is expected to be arraigned on these charges in Hillsborough County Superior Court, Northern District in Manchester tomorrow, October 25th, 2022.
Okay, so I just wanted to give like a little insight into when they like announced that he was arrested and the charges that were against him. So now we're going to go on to Kayla's testimony. So we've seen, like this morning, I showed y'all a few of the police officer and the tow truck driver who were there for the scene of the November 29th accident. The tow truck driver was there for the December 7th when their car died at the intersection of Elm and Webster. November 29th was a week before that, and it was a separate incident. So when Kayla is saying everything was on Thanksgiving, I honestly think it's just like a mix-up of her dates. So we're just going to listen to her testimony again and see how this goes. Let me see. Wait until she gets on the stand.
Kayla, can you begin by stating and spelling your full name for the record?
My name is Kayla Montgomery, Kayla, for over a year.
Kayla, why are you currently incarcerated?
For perjury, for lying on to the jury about the whereabouts of where I was and where Harmony was.
And when you say lying to the jury, was that the grand jury?
Yes.
Did you also lie to the police?
Yes.
Why'd you do that?
Because I was scared, and I was told by Adam to stick with that story that I got dropped off at work at Dunkin' Donuts, where I no longer worked at that time, and to say that he was bringing Harmony to meet her mother, Crystal, and that he dropped her off with her. And then when he came pick me up from work, which I was not working there at the time, he didn't have her in the car, which that was a lie.
That story that you just told, that was what you told the grand jury?
Yes.
That's what you told the police?
Yes.
And was that in fact what happened?
No.
You said you've been sentenced for lying.
Yes.
You're living at the prison. Do you understand the consequences of providing false testimony?
Yes.
And since those lies, since your time in prison, have you sat down with investigators? Have you sat down with the Attorney General's office and provided additional statements?
Yes.
How many times?
About 4 times.
How many hours?
A couple hours at a time when they've came to see me, or I've gone out to the office to meet with them.
Did you reach a plea agreement with the state?
Yes.
And that was on the perjury charges.
Yes.
Other charges were dismissed, is that right?
Yes.
The story that you just told about the defendant dropping Harmony off with Crystal, who came up with that story?
Adam,
Why did you stick to it?
because I was scared for myself and my children that are also Adam's, and for him, because I didn't want anybody to get in trouble and I was scared.
Your Honor, may I approach?
Yes.
Kayla, you referred to Harmony Montgomery just now. How do you know her?
She's Adam's daughter, and we started a year after we got together. He was working on getting custody of her, and he had to work to get custody of her. He wasn't just given her, and it took 4 years to get custody of her. And during those 4 years, we both visited her each week for a couple hours.
Was she your stepdaughter?
Yes.
Showing this witness what's been previously marked as State's Exhibit 98 for identification. Do you recognize this?
Yes.
Who's depicted in this image?
Harmony and myself.
And can you point to Harmony? And is there a date associated with this image?
Yes. July 7th, 2019.
And do you recognize this image?
Yes.
Is it a fair and accurate representation of Harmony on that day?
Yes.
Who's the other person depicted in that picture with Harmony?
Myself.
Is that a fair and accurate representation of you that day?
Yeah.
Do you know who took this photo?
I did.
Your Honor, at this point, I'd move to strike the ID and mark as full State's Exhibit 98
Any objection? Okay.
and publish.
The ID is stricken. It's entered as a full exhibit and it may be published to the jury.
Kayla, what were you and Harmony doing in this photograph?
We were taking pictures and laughing, playing. We always did silly pictures.
You mentioned getting custody of Harmony at some point. Do you remember when that was?
It was the month of February of 2019.
And where were you living when you got custody of Harmony?
77 Guilford Street in Manchester, New Hampshire.
When you got custody of Harmony, was she potty trained?
Yes.
Was she potty trained after you got her or before you got her?
Before.
Did she have accidents when you first got her?
No.
So you mentioned 77 Guilford Street. When did you move into that home?
It was in 2018, probably around April or May. I think it was around that time.
Whose home was it?
Adam's grandmother's, Helen Montgomery.
Did she live there with you at any point?
Yes, when we were staying there in the beginning, she lived there.
And in the beginning, who else lived there with you?
Adam's uncle, Kevin Montgomery, Adam's brother, Michael Montgomery, and Adam's brother's girlfriend, Kayla. I don't remember her last name.
Another Kayla, though.
Yeah. And myself and Adam, and we had Seamus.
How old was Seamus when you moved into that house?
About to turn 1.
Would you recognize that Guilford Street house if you saw it today?
Yes.
Yes.
State's Exhibits 1 and 2. Can you look at those for me, please?
That's the house. And this was Harmony's room.
Did you recognize the items that are depicted in those exhibits?
Yes.
Are they fair and accurate representations of what's contained in those exhibits?
Yes.
Your Honor, I move to strike the ID and mark as full State's Exhibit 1 and 2.
They're already full. I think they are.
Ready?
I think they're already full.
I move to publish, Your Honor.
Yes, you
Adam and I helped decorate this room right before Harmony came to live at Guilford Street. And she really liked Minnie Mouse.
When you say she really liked Minnie Mouse, who is she?
Harmony.
When you say you helped decorate the room, what did you do to decorate it?
Got the Minnie Mouse wall decor that stick to the wall, and got her a whole new bed set, blankets and sheets.
There's no bed in that photo, but was Harmony's bed in that room?
Yes.
Where would it have been located in relation to that image?
Right next to the window.
And Kayla, whose room was that prior to Harmony moving in?
It was Helen Montgomery's room.
Kayla, I'm showing you it's been marked as State's Exhibit 10 for identification. Do you recognize this?
Yeah, it was Harmony's toothbrush.
Is it a fair and accurate representation of Harmony's toothbrush?
Yes.
Your Honor, I move to strike the ID and mark as full State's Exhibit 10.
Any objection? The ID is stricken. It's entered as a full exhibit. It may be published.
Kayla, you mentioned that Helen moved out and Harmony took over the room.
Yes, she moved out of the room, but she was still living at the house.
Did she eventually leave the house?
Yes.
When was that?
In May of 2019,
Do you know where she went?
Florida.
Kayla, I want to turn your attention to July of 2019, so several months after Helen moved out. Were you still living in the Guilford Street home in July of 2019?
Yes.
And who was living there with you at that point?
It was myself and Adam and his uncle Kevin. And it was Seamus and our son Declan and Harmony. And his brother Michael and his girlfriend Kayla were still living there for a couple weeks until they moved out and went to Florida with her.
You mentioned this earlier, but where were you working at that point in your life?
I was working at Dunkin' Donuts.
Were you eventually terminated from your work at Dunkin' Donuts?
Yes.
Why?
Because I was stealing money from the register.
Did you admit to stealing money?
Yes.
Did you actually write a letter acknowledging that you had stolen?
Yes.
Did you take responsibility for what you'd done at Dunkin'?
Yes.
You mentioned that in July of 2019, Kevin Montgomery was still living in the Guilford Street home.
Yes.
Did he eventually leave for Florida after Helen?
I don't remember where he went. I remember Helen had surgery. She had open triple bypass surgery. And I don't remember if Kevin went to Florida. And I think he went to Mass too. I don't remember where he went.
Let me ask you this. Do you remember him being gone from the house for several weeks?
Yes.
And let's talk about that period where Kevin's gone from the house. Okay. You were still working at that point?
Yes.
What were your hours like at work?
I worked 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. And I also covered shifts if they needed help.
The 3 children that you mentioned,
Yes.
where were they when you were at work?
With Adam.
And so in July of 2019, your youngest, Declan, how old would he have been?
He was about 6 months old.
And you said you were working from 6 a.m. to 2 p.m.?
Yes.
Did you like that setup?
Yes.
When you would get home from work at 2 p.m., what would you do? What would your day look like?
I would come back home and help take care of the kids and feed them regularly, get them ready for bed later. We'd watch movies or they'd be playing.
You mentioned Kevin Montgomery leaving for some period.
Yes.
Did he return to the home at some point?
Yes, he showed up with Helen.
So before that, though, in July of 2019, did he
Yeah.
return to the home at some point?
I don't remember.
Do you remember overhearing a conversation between Kevin and the defendant, Adam?
Yes.
What was the tone of that conversation?
They were arguing about a situation that happened with Harmony.
What was Kevin's tone in that argument? How did he sound?
He sounded angry.
What did Kevin say in that conversation? May we approach?
Yes.
Yeah, Allison, yeah, she definitely is different when she's talking to the defense versus talking to the state. The state, she is on the defense. She's like snarky and has an attitude kind of thing. So yeah, it just makes you wonder. Like I don't know, I don't her credibility is shot, you know?
Kayla, you mentioned Kevin sounded angry.
Yes.
Was this a quiet conversation?
No.
How would you describe it?
Yelling at each other back and forth. Argumentative. Yeah, it was just loud and angry.
Where were you during this conversation?
In the living room of the house in Guilford Street.
And where were the children?
Playing.
Did you understand what they were talking about?
Yes. I know that they were arguing about a black eye that Harmony had. That I was told that.
So the black eye that Harmony
Yeah.
had you seen that before that argument?
Yes.
And tell this jury where you saw that black eye.
On the
First
side.
time you saw it.
It was on the side of her face right here. It was really red. It didn't really turn black and blue until like the next day.
So the first day you saw it when it was red, really red. How did you see that? Where were you?
I came home from work and I saw her face and it was red, and I was told that.
And let me stop you there. You came home from work.
Yeah.
So this would have been around 2 p.m.?
Yeah.
Did you have an understanding of where Harmony had been that day?
Yes.
And tell us where that was.
She was at home at Guilford Street
Who was she at home with?
with Adam and Uncle Kevin and Seamus and Declan.
And when you got home, when you saw this injury, the redness to Harmony's eye, did you ask the defendant what happened to her?
Yes.
What did he tell you?
that her and Seamus were playing, and Seamus hit her in the face with the lightsaber by accident.
After you heard that confrontation between the defendant and Kevin, did you confront the defendant?
Yes, I asked him.
And at that point, did he tell you a new story about this injury to Harmony's eye?
No, it was the same. Well, yeah, he ended up telling me after
What was the new story he told you?
that he ended up hitting her in the face because she covered our son's mouth because he was crying and he was in the bathroom. He went to the bathroom. Declan was crying, and Harmony had her hand over his mouth, and he came out of the bathroom and saw that, and his lips were blue, or purple blue, and he hit her.
Did he describe how he hit her?
He smacked her in the face.
Did he acknowledge causing that injury to her?
Yes.
Do you know a Demetrius Soros with BCYF?
Yes.
Did he come to the house after that interaction between Kevin and the defendant?
Yes.
Did you know at the time what the purpose of his visit was?
Yes.
What was it?
DCYF got called about the children not being taken care of, and that Adam was abusing his daughter.
When Mr. Soros arrived at your home, what did the defendant do with Harmony?
He left with her. He grabbed Harmony and left with her.
He grabbed her and left?
Yeah.
Did you have a conversation with Demetrius that day?
Yes.
In that conversation, did you cover for the defendant?
Yes.
Why?
Because I didn't want him to get in trouble.
So she witnessed the abuse. She saw the black eye, but yet she lied and covered for him because she did not want him to get in trouble. So she wasn't worried about Harmony and possible continued abuse. She just didn't want Adam to get in trouble. That's so sad because it makes you wonder if he was doing this to any of the boys, how would she have reacted then? I think it would be a completely different story. That story is out covering his mouth is either a lie or Harmony was so scared to get in trouble if he started crying. Yeah, that's what we were saying this morning. Like, it's either a lie or Harmony, we wasn't there, so we don't know. But like, if he told her, what if he was like, don't let the baby cry? And so Harmony was terrified that if he's crying and she's going to get the hit. So, or like if the baby's crying, what if she was scared that the baby would get hit? But it just seems like all of the anger and all of the abuse was always targeted towards Harmony, which bothers me so much that, like, why did he take custody of her again? If he doesn't, nothing that we hear ever speaks of like any kind of love that he's had for his daughter. And then when he's questioned, it's like he doesn't even want to talk about her. He can't talk about her. He refuses to. She's so freaking sad. Yeah, it was just like her kids with him were fine, but they didn't care about Harmony. They didn't love her like she should have been loved. That's what I think it was. She was scared to give. Yeah. She knew it was gonna come back on her. And it did. Poor baby. Like, you don't leave a 5-year-old. And she just turned 5 in June. This was in July. So she had just turned 5 years old. And she was in charge of watching her 6-month-old infant. It's freaking sad.
Was there a period in 2019 when you no longer lived at the house on Guilford Street?
Yes.
And tell us how that came to be.
We ended up getting evicted from the house in November of 2019, the day before Thanksgiving, because the mortgage wasn't being paid.
And, Your Honor, may we approach?
Yes.
That's so true. I forgot about, not forgot about, but yeah, the whole food stamp thing and claiming Harmony on their taxes. It was money. It was about money.
Thank you. Thank you. Your Honor, I'd ask that the court take judicial notice that the day before Thanksgiving in 2019 was November 27th.
The court takes judicial notice that the day before Thanksgiving in 2019 was November 27th, 2019.
Kayla, why were you evicted from the home?
Because the mortgage wasn't getting paid
And after you were evicted, where did you begin living?
in our car,
What kind of vehicle was it?
a Chrysler Sebring.
When you began living in that car, who were you with?
It was myself and Adam, Harmony, and the two boys
Where were you sleeping during that period?
in the car
Where would you keep the car?
behind Colonial Village in Manchester,
Why Colonial Village?
because that's where our friend lived,
What was your friend's name?
Anthony.
You mean
Cordero.
they're a drug
Did
dealer?
you tell Mr. Badero that you were living there in that parking lot?
He asked us not to, but yes.
And so, can you just describe the sleeping arrangement in that vehicle for you and your family at the time?
So Adam would sleep in the driver's seat. I slept in the passenger seat, and Harmony was behind the passenger seat, and the baby Declan was in the middle, and Seamus was behind the driver's seat.
Kayla, I asked you earlier about whether Harmony was potty trained when you got custody of her. And I believe you said she was.
Yes,
Did that change at some point after the eviction?
yes.
And tell the jury about that. What happened to Harmony?
She wouldn't let us know when she had to use the bathroom, and so she was peeing in the car, just in her seat that she was sitting in, and she wouldn't tell us that she had to use the bathroom.
Was she only peeing or was she having other accidents at the time?
She was also pooping
How frequently was this occurring for Harmony?
a lot, like at least every day.
And did those accidents, did they increase in frequency the longer you were in that car?
Yes,
How was the defendant responding when she had these accidents?
getting angry.
Would he do anything physically to her when she had accidents?
Yeah, he would smack her.
And what does that mean that he would smack her?
He would smack her in the face, or on her leg, or in her hand.
Were these soft smacks, hard
No.
smacks, or something else?
They were like hurt, stung smacks,
What makes you say hurt, stung smacks?
because she would cry during, like, whenever she got smacked by him, and I could hear it, and it sounds like it hurt.
I'm sorry, you could hear the crying or you could hear the smack?
Smack and the crying.
I mean, when you say she was crying, who's she?
Harmony.
Those strikes, were they manifesting in any way on Harmony?
Yes.
How were they manifesting on her?
The more accidents she had, the more he would get angry, and he would hit her repetitively.
Was the defendant causing visible injuries to Harmony?
Yes.
I'm sorry?
Yes.
And tell us about those injuries.
When he would hit her, she started getting black eyes and bruises on her face, on her legs. Yeah.
Did you ever see her bleed as a result of being struck by him?
No, I didn't see that.
Did you ever see the defendant?
Okay, wait. I have a question, and I know we're gonna get to it. It might be when the defense questions her, but here, when he asks her about if there was ever any bleeding, she says no. But doesn't she, on cross-examination, doesn't she mention something about dried blood that was on Harmony's face or something? So it's like, that's a lie, if so, because she did see blood. But then we were confused because if Harmony did bleed inside of the Sebring, I know it was 2 years later when they processed the vehicle, but you would think that they would find some kind of trace of something. You know, if they were able to find DNA off of her toothbrush that was in the Audi that had been in the vehicle for 2 years, and they were able to identify, you know, several items, you would think that if there was blood left behind in the Sebring from when he hit her, that that would have been traceable, but maybe not. I don't know. And then again, she lies, so really don't know. Um, so yeah, so this is what I was saying, Allison. I'm clear on the accidents and the dates. So I know that November 29th, 2019 was the car accident with Tabitha Scott. The police officer testified and he confirmed that. He also confirmed that 3 days later on December 2nd, Adam Montgomery and Kayla Montgomery got into another accident. No children were with them. When Kayla was asked about that accident, she said the children were with Tabitha Scott. So that's the 2nd of December. And then December 7th, according to Kayla, is the day she says that the car broke down and they had to abandon it. They walked to the apartments and then Bodero brought them to get their belongings. But we have the tow truck guy saying that he picked up the car and that 2 gentlemen went get the belongings. So, yeah, it has to be mixing up of the dates. I don't think Bodero is like lying about it. Like I said, it's a week apart. So I think that they were just getting their dates mixed up. Yeah, what was I just gonna say? Okay, so 29th. Okay, yeah. So then if you think about it, the second, so we know on the 2nd of December they had their vehicle. It was able to be driven, obviously, on the 2nd. So when they're recalling Thanksgiving weekend that they stayed in the Audi, it doesn't make any sense because they had their Sebring. You see what I'm saying? Like, we don't hear anything about any other tow truck except for December 7th. They did have a flat tire, according to her mom. She said it was like right after they got evicted. So we know about a flat tire, but yeah, I think their dates are off. Like they were probably stoned out of like high out of their minds and got the dates screwed up.
And it attempts to cover Harmony.
Yes.
And can you tell the jurors how he did that?
He would cover her with the comforter that we had in the car
Why would he cover her?
so nobody could see her.
How often would he cover Harmony?
All the time. Anytime that we had interference with anybody, no matter who it was.
Was this only when you went out in public, or was it when you were still in that parking lot, or both?
Both.
Kayla, were you involved in an accident, a car accident on November 29th of 2019?
Yes.
And I want to turn your attention to that day. Who were you with that day?
Tabitha Scott.
Who else was in the vehicle during that accident?
Adam, myself, Harmony, and the 2 boys.
Who was driving?
Adam.
That Sebring, did you regularly drive it? Did you drive it at all?
Yeah, I didn't drive it, but he did. He had the license. I did not.
You didn't have a license at the time?
No.
So you said that Adam was driving, the defendant was driving the vehicle. Where were you in position to the rest of the people in the vehicle?
I was sitting with Harmony in the back seat behind the passenger side.
And where was Harmony?
Next to me and Declan. She was in between.
And where was Seamus?
In his car seat on the other side of Declan.
Would that have been behind the driver's seat?
Yes.
You mentioned the Tabitha Scott.
Yes.
Who is she to you?
She's been one of my friends for a long time.
And she was in the car with you that day?
Yes.
Where was she seated?
In the passenger seat.
And What was Tabitha Scott doing with you that day?
We were going to get drugs.
And can you just walk us through the accident, how it occurred?
There was a stop sign, and it was a intersection. There was a stop sign. It was a four-way intersection, and there was a truck that went through their stop sign, and we already had stopped, so we were going and ended up hitting that car, the truck.
Did law enforcement respond to that accident?
Yes.
Did you see an officer?
Yes.
Were the officers able to see Harmony?
No.
Tell the jurors why not.
Adam didn't want the officers to see her because she had black eyes, so she was covered with a blanket.
Were there other people, specific individuals that he would cover Harmony up and keep her hidden from?
Yes.
And tell us who those individuals were.
It was Anthony Madero, and when Tabby was in the car, she didn't look at her, she didn't see her, but she knew she was in the car.
Kayla, so this accident occurred on
Okay, so she says when Tabby, meaning Tabitha Scott, when Tabitha was in the car, she didn't look at her, she didn't see her, but she knew she was in the car. So that makes it seem like all of these people knew that, okay, so we have our daughter back here, but you can't see her right now. Like what was the reason they gave to these people? What was the reason for these people, like, knowing that Harmony was in the back of the car, but she was covered with the blanket, but they weren't allowed to see her? That's like so very freaking disturbing to me. Like, I feel like she was under that blanket the majority of the time. And all of these people were okay with that? Like, all of these people that witnessed her being under a blanket and didn't ask questions? That's why I'm saying this Tabitha Scott person, I hope, is one of their witnesses this week, because she seems to be one of the key witnesses also that can at least let us know if on December 2nd, when she babysat, if she babysat Harmony as well. Because if she says no, then we know something happened to Harmony between November 29th and before December 2nd, not the 7th like Kayla was claiming.
on November 29th.
Yes.
I want to turn your attention to December 7th of 2019.
Yeah.
Does that day stand out to you?
Yes.
Why?
Since the date that Harmony passed away.
The day that Harmony passed away?
Yeah.
Were you still living in the car at that point?
Yes.
Were you still sleeping in the Colonial Village parking lot?
Yes.
You mentioned Harmony having accidents and then becoming more frequent at that point. On December 7th, was she still having those accidents?
Yes.
And had they increased in frequency?
Yes.
Did Harmony have an accident first thing in the morning?
Yes.
And that would have been before you started your day?
Yes.
What happened when she had that accident?
Adam repetitively kept punching her in the head.
Okay. So I want to break that up. That morning, where did you wake up?
At Colonial Village.
And what happened first thing in the morning that morning?
We went to the methadone clinic.
And before you left for the methadone clinic, did Harmony have an accident?
Yes.
And what did the defendant do before you went to the methadone clinic? What did the defendant do to Harmony after that accident?
He was yelling and screaming at her and punching her in the head.
How did she react to that?
She was crying.
You mentioned the methadone clinic. Was that Habit Opco?
Yes.
And what did you do at the methadone clinic that morning?
Got my dose of methadone, and Adam got his also.
And do you remember who went in first?
No, I don't remember who went first.
Your Honor, may I approach?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm just going to ask that you review the second page. and this page, paying careful attention to the times.
Okay.
The item I just handed you, what is that?
Our dose history from our the clinic.
And that's Habit Opco.
Yes.
And having looked at those records, do you recall who went into the clinic first that morning?
Yes, I did.
What time was that at?
7:04 in the morning.
And what time did the defendant go in?
It was 7:09 in the morning.
Your Honor, at this time, I move to strike ID of State's Exhibit 89 and Marcus Full.
Any objection? Okay. The ID is stricken and entered as a full exhibit.
Kayla, can you tell the jurors what happened when Adam returned to the vehicle after his methadone treatment?
When Adam came back to the vehicle, he could smell urine and he started yelling at Harmony and kept hitting her in the head repetitively.
Where were you when he smelt that accident? Where was the vehicle when he smelt that accident?
In front of the methadone clinic.
Did you discuss going somewhere with him at any point that morning? Going to get food?
Yes. I asked to go to Burger King.
You asked to go to Burger King.
Yes.
And so at some point, did he begin driving the vehicle?
Yes.
Was that before or after he repeatedly struck Harmony?
After.
What was Harmony doing at that point when he started driving the vehicle?
She was crying a lot.
She was crying a lot.
Yeah. And she was making a weird noise.
Was she saying anything?
No.
And Kayla, I want you to walk the jurors through in as much detail as you can what happened on your route from Habit Opco to that Burger King.
Adam was getting really angry from Harmony peeing in the car, and he repetitively kept punching her on the way to Burger King. And there were a couple red lights, and when we were at red lights, he would like go over the driver's seat, like in between the passenger seat, and he was just punching her repetitively in the head.
And you said there were several times where he punched her repetitively in the head.
Yes.
How many times did he hit her?
I can't count. I don't know.
Were you counting?
No, I wasn't.
How many lights did that car come to where he repetitively struck her?
At least 2 or 3.
Between Habit Opco and the Burger King, did the defendant say anything to Harmony?
Told her to shut the fuck up. Stop crying.
You said she was making a weird noise.
Yes.
Can you describe it?
It was like I can't even describe it. It was like a moaning kind of noise, but crying. It was just weird. I can't explain it.
Did you try to help Harmony while he was striking her?
Yes.
Tell the jurors what you did to try to help.
I put my arm up and said to stop, but he looked at me and he gave me this look that was like evil. His crazy eyes. I didn't like it, and I couldn't stop him from hitting her, because the look that he gave me was scary. I was scared.
Okay, so I wanted to talk about like this. So she says he gave me this look. I want to listen to it again just to hear how she says it, because I was saying earlier, I'm not saying that she wasn't being abused. I'm not saying that she was not scared. I am not in any way trying to take any of that away, because I know that if she was in a situation where she was scared, like, I get that. I understand that. But after this happened, after this incident on this day, She had plenty of opportunity between December and March to do the right thing and tell the truth for Harmony and speak up on what happened. And I understand that you can love someone, but when you witness them unalive their own child, it's just like that's a whole different level to me. And then when you help him conceal the body and you help him move the body around, like you're just as involved. You know what I'm saying? So, but she says that he gave me like the look he gave her was his crazy eyes. The way she says his crazy eyes is almost like she has seen it before, but then it's kind of like she's hinting at she's never seen this look before. So it's very conflicting on the way she words it. But I mean, she knows that he was abusive. She knows that he had given Harmony a black eye before. So yeah, I can imagine in this moment she was probably afraid she could be next or her kids, her other boys could be next, you know. I get that. On this day, I wouldn't expect her to try to do anything because it could put her life in danger. But after that day, in my opinion, she should have done her best and tried her best to try to get at least the truth to someone, especially about Harmony. And then she would have been protected. She would have been safe, you know, but instead she chose to lie for him. She stuck to that lie. So I just, Kayla is, I don't know, right, JR Nana? I told her, well, yeah, she was saying she told him to stop. And exactly, Irene. Like that's what I was saying earlier. Like hit me instead. If you're that angry, like take it out on me. Harmony weighed 35 pounds when the doctor saw her in June. She was tiny. So for him to hit her, and he was a big guy, like you've seen pictures of him and video body cam footage of him. He was a, you know, pretty strong looking guy. Like Harmony couldn't defend herself and she didn't stand a chance against Adam. Oh, she's seen it before and I agree. She could have been scared and high. So I do get it. Right. He was probably her supplier, like that's who she did her drugs with. You can tell that she still loves him. You'll see at the end of this testimony that she does still care for him. But did she ever care about Harmony? Did she love Harmony? Why didn't she stand up for Harmony? Because I don't care how much you love someone, you stand up for the children. You don't stand around and let someone do that to someone, to a child, and you know he took her life and you're okay with that? Like no, 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 no. There's a line. There's definitely a line.
What were you feeling when he looked at you like that?
Like he was either gonna hit me or just, I don't know. It was weird. And that was like one of the first times that I've seen him look at me like that.
Was it the last time you saw him look at you like that?
No.
And we'll talk about that more. But I want to focus on this drive. You said that Harmony's crying. She's making this weird noise.
Yeah.
Where was she in the vehicle?
She was behind the passenger seat.
And who was in front of her in that car?
I was.
You described the defendant almost coming over the seat.
Yes.
Was he still driving at that point?
Some, like, kind of. Like, between the red lights, and it definitely at the red lights. I remember that.
How was he striking her?
By punching her in the head.
Where were your other two children at that time?
In the back seat.
And what were they doing?
They had no idea what was going on.
How old were they?
Seamus was about 2.5, and Declan was 11 months old.
Did you look back at Harmony at any point?
No.
Why not?
Because I was scared.
What were you scared of?
If Adam was going to say something, or if he hurt her really bad, it was going to look really bad.
You were scared of what Harmony would look like? That attempt to intervene, were you successful in that?
No.
Did he stop after that?
Shortly after that,
Shortly after that. Did he say anything to you when he stopped?
he said he thinks that he really hurt her. But he felt something.
When he said that he thinks he really hurt her, where was the vehicle at that point?
At Burger King?
At the Burger King?
Yes.
And what did the defendant do after he stopped hitting Harmony, after he said, I think I really hurt her?
Nothing.
Did you order food from Burger King?
Yes.
Where was Adam when you were ordering food from Burger King?
In the driver's seat.
Did you go inside to the Burger King or something else?
No. I don't remember going in there.
Did you go through the drive-thru?
Yes.
And so who ordered the food?
Adam did.
And what did you do with the food that he had ordered?
Ate it, gave some to the kids
Where were you when you ate the food?
in the parking lot
Which parking lot?
of Burger King.
The kids were behind you at that point.
Yes.
Is that what you testified to?
Yes.
And who gave them food?
I did.
Did you see Harmony when you were giving them food?
No.
Why not?
Because she was under the blanket.
Who put her under the blanket?
Adam.
That's the same blanket that you mentioned earlier.
Yes.
The same blanket he would cover her with?
Yes.
Where did you go from the Burger King parking lot, Kayla?
Went back to Colonial Village
And how did you get there?
with the vehicle. Adam driving.
Was Harmony still under the blanket when you arrived at Colonial Village?
Yes.
And that moaning that you mentioned, that weird noise that she was making, was she still making it?
No.
How long did that noise that she was making last?
I don't remember. It wasn't. I don't remember. I don't remember if it was too long. I don't remember if it was after we were at Colonial Village for a little bit or if it was before.
But that moaning, did it eventually stop?
Yes.
Did you check on Harmony at any point after the moaning stopped?
No.
Did Adam?
No.
Why didn't you check on her?
Because I was scared.
When you arrived at the Colonial Village parking lot, when you arrived back there, what did you and the defendant do?
We got drugs and got high.
When you say we got drugs and got high, what drugs did you get, Kayla?
Heroin and crack.
And how long did you use those drugs for in that parking lot?
Probably we were there for probably 10 or 15 minutes.
Where did you go from the Colonial Village parking lot?
I don't remember where we were going, but I know we left.
You left at some point.
Yes.
And what happened when you left the parking lot?
We made it to the next street over, going towards Elm Street, and the car died.
Okay, so I just want to clarify and point this out that she says they were going towards Elm Street, right? And I think that's why we all got kind of confused when she first testified, and then we had the tow truck driver also testify. So it was Elm Street and Webster. I think that's the name of the street, where the tow truck guy confirms that he did pick up their vehicle. So that was Elm and Webster. The accident that they got into was a totally different intersection. But for some reason, Kayla remembers it as being Thanksgiving weekend. All of this that she's telling you right now, in her mind, she thinks that all of this happened like around or after Thanksgiving. But it's actually December 7th. Okay, so that's why we're rewatching it. I don't know if she's going to say Thanksgiving, but Anthony Bodero for sure says Thanksgiving weekend. So either way, all of this supposedly happened on December 7th, according to Kayla. The stuff she's talking about now, those days' events was December 7th. Why weren't you freaked out at the sounds Harmony's making? You knew something was right. Yeah, that's what I'm saying too. Then again, we have to remember that morning, the very first thing they did was go to the methadone clinic, and so that was either, and I mean, I don't know what like when you go to the methadone clinic, it's usually for something like Suboxone or other stuff that helps addicts get off of other heavy drugs that they may be trying to get off of. So they were on something when they left the methadone clinic. Now that doesn't excuse her from not reacting to anything, you know? I mean, she's clearly saying from the clinic all the way to Burger King, at every light and in between, he is beating Harmony. And then he puts her under a blanket, proceeds to order their food. They eat their food. She's going to continue telling you how she kind of just sounds like she just placed Harmony's food on her lap. But if she says she didn't look at Harmony, then maybe she just kind of threw it back there. I'm not sure. It's really freaking sad that all of this went down that day and they're just riding around like nothing happened.
We got to the traffic light and it wouldn't start or anything. And so we were stuck without a vehicle.
What was the defendant doing when the car died?
He was trying to get a jump, and there was no jumping the vehicle. And so we ended up having to leave it. And when we were getting out of the car and getting the kids out of the car, Harmony had passed away.
Let's talk about that. When you say Harmony had passed away, when did you realize that Harmony had passed away?
When Adam was trying to wake her up and she didn't reply or anything.
Was he saying things to her to try to wake her up?
Yeah, he said Harmony, and he kept saying baby girl, like, and trying to budge her, and there was nothing.
Was he touching her?
Yes.
What was he doing to her body at that point?
Trying to figure out what to do and getting all the kids out of the car. He took the duffel bag that was in the trunk and and put her in the duffel bag.
You mentioned this duffel bag from the trunk.
Yeah.
Had you seen that duffel bag before, Kayla? What was it used
Yes.
for?
When we got kicked out of the house, we put clothes in there for everybody. And it was in the trunk of the car.
Did you see him put Harmony in that duffel bag?
Yes.
How did he put her in there, Kayla?
He like folded her in half and put her in the double bag.
Did he call 911 at any point?
No.
Did you?
No.
And when you saw him put her in that duffel bag, did you attempt to get away, to run?
No.
Why not?
They had the two other kids and I was scared.
Scared of?
That something would happen to me or Adam and the kids.
You said you saw him put her in that duffel bag, fold her up and put her in there.
Yes.
What did her face look like when you saw her go into that bag?
It was all black and blue And her face was puffy, her eyes were puffy.
Did he say anything to you after he put her in that duffel bag?
I don't remember.
What did you do after he put her in the duffel bag?
We took the kids and we walked back to Colonial Village.
What did you do once you arrived at Colonial Village?
Put the bag in the snowbank so Anthony wouldn't see it.
I'm sorry, so that who wouldn't see it, Kayla?
Anthony.
That's Anthony Badero.
Yes.
Where was the snowbank that you put? And sorry, let me clarify. Who put her in a snowbank?
Adam.
Where was that snowbank that he put her in?
In the embankment from the parking lot.
What was around that snow embankment?
A dumpster. And cars and snow.
And you said he put it in there so that Anthony Badero wouldn't see.
Yeah.
What did the defendant do after he put that duffel bag in the snowbank?
Left her there. And we got a ride from Badero to get the stuff out of our car.
And where was your car at that?
Okay, so this is when things kind of get mixed up, like really confusing with her testimony because so remember this is December 7th and she's saying like they walked back to the apartment and they got Bodero to help them go back to their car and get their belongings and all of that stuff. That did happen on December 7th. But when you hear Bodero's testimony, he says it was Thanksgiving weekend and it's not. So, yeah, I think they had their dates mixed up.
That point?
It was at that street. We ended up leaving it, and when we came to the car, it was already getting towed.
So Mr. Badero gave you a ride back to your vehicle?
Yes.
Were you able to get belongings out of the vehicle?
Yes.
And who did that? Who got those items out?
Adam and myself.
That vehicle was your home at the time.
Yes.
What did you do after that in terms of a shelter?
Bodero let us sleep in his car for the weekend until I figured something out.
Just for the weekend?
Yeah.
Is that what you had asked him for? Or is that what he said, just for the weekend?
That's what he said.
And what kind of vehicle did Mr. Badero have?
An Audi.
Do you remember what color it was?
Blue.
Was it a car, a sedan, or an SUV?
A car.
And I want to talk about the time that you were living in that car that weekend. Where was Harmony's body at that point when you were living in Mr. Badero's vehicle?
In the trunk of the car.
And did the defendant ever move it from the trunk of the car to another location?
Yes.
Where would he put it?
Near the dumpster.
Why?
So Anthony wouldn't see it.
Was it cold outside at the time?
Yes.
You mentioned snow. Was there snow on the ground?
Yes.
Did something happen to the vehicle that first night you were staying in Mr. Badero's car?
Yes, the battery died.
What did the defendant do when the battery died?
Used somebody's phone and called Miss Frayne.
Is that Kimberly Frayne?
Yes.
Are you aware of him communicating with any other people regarding the dead car?
Not that I remember.
At that time, did the defendant have a Facebook account?
Yes.
Do you know if he had a Facebook account?
I don't remember. I don't remember.
But you recall a call to Miss Frayne.
Yes.
And what happened after that call?
She showed up with a battery pack jumper to jump the car.
Was she successful in jumping the car?
Yes.
And what were you doing while that was going on?
I was in the car with the kids,
Where was Miss Vereen?
outside of the car with
Where-
Adam.
I was going to ask, where was the defendant? Where was Harmony at that point when the car was being jumped?
In the trunk of the car.
What did you and the defendant do for food during your time in Mr. Badero's car?
Bodero bought us pizza and brought it down to the car.
You mentioned being there for 2 nights,
Yes.
and the first night the battery died.
Yes.
When was the pizza given to you?
I think it was the next night. Because he did give us food for a couple of dinners. He gave us food. We had the pizza and stuff like
Could you repeat that, please?
a couple of nights we got pizza.
And did you leave Mr. Badero's vehicle after that weekend?
Yes.
After those 2 nights you left?
Yes.
And can you tell the jurors where you went?
I went to my aunt's house,
And what's your aunt's name?
Kimberly Simmons,
Where did Miss Simmons live at the time?
in Manchester.
Was she on South Main Street?
Yes.
And how did you get to your aunt's home?
Bodero dropped us off.
Your Honor, may I approach?
Yes. Yes, you may.
So Kayla, I'm going to hand you 3 exhibits. And I'm just going to ask that you look at the first one. So that first one, what's been marked as State's Exhibit 25 for identification, do you recognize what's depicted on that item?
Yes.
And can you tell the jurors what it is?
It's the apartment that my aunt lived in.
That again is on South Main Street.
Yes.
Is that a fair and accurate representation of your aunt's apartment?
Yes.
Your Honor, at this point, I move to strike ID and mark as full State's Exhibit 25.
Any objection? The ID is stricken. It's entered as a full exhibit.
Now, Kayla, when Mr. Badero dropped you, the defendant, and your 2 children off, where was Harmony's body?
In the duffel bag.
And who had that duffel bag?
Adam.
And what did he do with that duffel bag when you got to your aunt's house?
He placed it under the porch.
And you pointed at the exhibit just now. If you could just hold it up and show the jurors where you're pointing.
Right here.
Can you show me where you pointed? If you can take a look at Exhibit 20, 26, and 27, what's been marked as ID for 26 and 27. What's depicted on those 2 items here?
The porch. Up close.
Is that a fair and accurate representation of your aunt's porch?
Yes.
Is there a difference in the 2 photos?
Yes. 27 has measuring tape, looks like.
And Your Honor, at this point, I move to strike the ID and mark as full State's Exhibit 26 and 27.
The ID is stricken. They're entered as full exhibits.
And I move to publish this video.
Yes, you may.
You mentioned the defendant putting Harmony's body in a duffel bag under the porch.
Yes.
Your aunt's home?
Yes.
This is the porch that he put her under.
Yes.
Did you go into the home that day, into your aunt's home?
Yes.
How long were you there for, Kayla?
A few hours. We were trying to figure out where to go.
What was the purpose of your trip to your aunt's home?
To talk so that she could talk to my mother so that she'll let us stay at her place.
What's your mother's name?
Christina Lubin.
So if I understand, you wanted your aunt to talk to your mother?
Yeah.
Did you end up seeing your mother that day?
Yes.
How did you come to see her that day?
She came to pick us all up, myself, Adam, and the kids, the 2 boys,
Where was Harmony at that point?
in a duffel bag.
And how did your mother pick you up? How did she arrive at your aunt's home?
She came in her van.
And what happened to that bag that Harmony was in when your mother came to pick you up?
We put it in the van.
And when you say we put it in the van, who put it in the van?
Adam.
See, he does catch her like saying little things like we put her in the bag. Like she does include herself without even realizing it. And then he says, we, when you say we, who are you referring to? And then she says Adam. She names one person. But clearly we means me and Adam. You know what I'm saying? Like it was both of them. It was not just him. And Jaron, and I do want you to know, like, I'm not discounting the drug use and the addiction and all that. I don't understand it, but I've been around people and I know how like you just don't care in those moments, but come on now, for months and months you're going to help him. You know what I mean? Like she had her part in this. So she is not completely innocent. And the defense even says that in their opening statements. He says that both Kayla and Adam did this. You know what I mean? So like, but we just right now Adam is on trial, not Kayla. I'm re-listening because I'm trying to catch up like slip ups. Like the whole thing, she had a different story than her friend Kimberly Frayne had. Kimberly Frayne's story was that Kayla got into the car with her, like got into the car with her 2 boys and not Harmony. Kayla says that Kimberly stayed outside the car. So it's little things like that that she is lying on the stand. And the deal was is that she's not supposed to lie again at all. So I guess we'll see. But good to see you, Jim J. Absolutely, he wasn't alone. I think she knew she was guilty. She didn't want to. True, true. I do see what you're saying because telling on him, she would have to admit her involvement, which is why I think I hope her deal is null and void for any slip ups and lies that she tells, and that she's held accountable also because I don't think she should be able to walk free from her part in Harmony's death.
How long did Harmony's body stay in the van?
Probably about 5 to 10 minutes.
Was it in there while you were traveling somewhere?
Yes.
Where were you going?
To my mother's place.
Did the defendant keep Harmony's body in the van?
For the drive, yes.
What did he do with Harmony's body when you arrived at your mother's home?
He took it out of the van and put her on the side near the trash at first until he figured out where to put her.
And what did he figure out in terms of where to put her?
There was a cooler in the hall walkway that the residents used to get in and out of the building, and it was on my mom's floor level in the hallway. And he put the he put the duffel bag in the cooler.
And what was in the duffel bag at that point?
Harmony.
So he removed her from the trash and he put her in this cooler.
Yes.
Her body was still in the duffel bag at that point?
Yes.
Can I approach her?
Yes, you may. Yes, you may.
So I'm showing you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 28 for identification.
Yes.
Do you recognize that item?
Yes.
What is it?
That is the cooler that was on the porch in my mom's hallway.
Is that a fair and accurate representation of the cooler?
Yes.
That's what it looks like?
Yes.
Your Honor, at this point, I move to strike the ID and mark as full State's Exhibit 28.
Okay. If the ID is stricken, it's entered as a full exhibit.
Move to publish.
Yes, you may.
Kayla, how did Harmony's body fit into this cooler?
Adam pushed it in the cooler so it would fit.
Is that something you saw him do?
Yes.
Were there any noises when he did that?
Not that I remember.
How long was she stored in that cooler for?
For a couple weeks.
And how long did you stay with your mother for? How long were you with Christina Lubin?
For a couple weeks.
Did her body stay in that cooler for the entire time you were with your mother?
Yes.
Why?
I honestly don't know.
How often did you see that cooler when you were living with your mother?
Every day, multiple times a day.
Wait, so she claims right here he asks her why, and she says, "I honestly don't know."
Entire time you were with your mother?
Yes.
Why?
I honestly don't know.
Wow.
How
Okay.
often did you see that cooler when you were living with your mother?
Every day, multiple times a day.
Where was the cooler kept?
In the hallway.
Was that your mother's hallway, or was it?
It was access to everybody who lived in the building, but it was on the level of my mom's apartment.
And tell us about that hallway. What else was kept there?
I don't remember.
Were there other items in that hallway?
I don't remember.
Where did you go after living with your mother?
To the FIT shelter, Families in Transition.
And when you moved to the Families in Transition shelter, is that FIT, the FIT shelter?
Yes.
When you moved to the FIT shelter, where was Harmony's body?
Adam put her in the ceiling, in the vent of the room that we stayed in.
What room did he stay in while you lived with the Families in Transition shelter, Kayla?
It was the first room. It was room 1.
And how did he access the ceiling to store her in there?
He used the bunk bed and climbed up in the ceiling.
Was there something that allowed him to access the ceiling that was above that bunk bed?
There was a vent.
And who slept under that bed?
The kids.
Where did the defendant sleep?
We all slept on the floor on the mattresses.
So, Kayla, I'm showing you what's been previously marked for identification of States Exhibit 30 through 34. Can you please look at each of these items in turn and describe what's depicted?
This is the outside of the family shelter.
And that's States Exhibit 30.
And this is the door to room 1, and next to it is the second room.
That's Exhibit 30.
This is the room.
I'm just going to ask you to move it a little away from the microphone. Thank you.
And when you say this is the room, whose room was that?
It was the room that we stayed in.
And that setup, the way the room is set up, is that similar to how it was when you lived there?
Yes.
And that's States Exhibit 32. Let's go to States Exhibit 33. What is depicted there?
The vent above the bed.
And what happened with that vent?
Adam moved it so he could go in the ceiling.
Now, did you ever touch that vent, Kayla?
No.
And States Exhibit 34?
It's the vent.
Are those fair and accurate representations? Is that consistent with your memory of what those items look like?
Yes.
Your Honor, at this point, I move to strike the ID and mark as Bill States Exhibit 30 through 34.
Any objection? All right, the idea is stricken. Those are entered as full exhibits and may be published to the jury.
And so, Kayla, I'm holding up what's been marked, or what's been admitted as States Exhibit 30. What is this item? What is depicted here?
The outside of the family shelter.
How long did you live at this shelter for?
a month and a half almost.
And State's Exhibit 30? What's depicted in this image?
The room that was the one we stayed in was on the left side, room 1, and the other room is the second one next to it.
You stayed in room 1,
Yes,
and you mentioned room 2 being beside it.
yes,
In State's Exhibit 32 and 33, you mentioned that this was consistent with what the room looked like when you lived there,
yes,
and those are the bunk beds that you mentioned.
yes,
And you said you could see the vent that was used in these images.
yes.
And can you remind the jury what's in State's Exhibit 34?
That's the vent that he climbed up to and put Harmony in the ceiling.
When you say he climbed up to the Harmony in the ceiling, who is he?
Adam,
At the time you were living at the Families in Transition shelter, was there anything going on with Harmony's body? Was she having any changes? Or was her body having any changes?
yes.
And I want you to tell the jurors what those changes were.
You could smell a horrible smell that was coming through the vents.
Do you remember that horrible smell?
Yes,
Did maintenance come at some point while you were living there because of that smell?
yes.
And what happened when those maintenance workers came?
Adam took her back down from out of the ceiling and brought the bag in the bathroom.
And what happened when Adam brought Harmony down from the ceiling?
That she was starting to smell and there was fluid leaking.
So you smelled her. And did you see the fluid?
No, I didn't see it.
How do you know about the fluid that was leaking?
Adam said that.
What did he say?
He said that there was blood up in the ceiling and fluid.
And so what did he do with
That blood and fluid in the ceiling is what ultimately was able to, help forensics identify that it belonged to Harmony, because they also found her pink toothbrush and they were able to confirm that that was Harmony Montgomery's remains. So I am thankful that she did call in and speak to I think she went into the office maybe and spoke to the detective and told them about the ceiling at the shelter. This was after her and Adam had broken up, and I think he was already in jail for the assault charges. That's when Kayla really was starting to speak up. So maybe it's because she felt safe, I don't know. But I am thankful that she did speak up when she did, because if she hadn't, we wouldn't be here right now. We'd still be looking for Harmony.
that duffel bag containing Harmony after you removed her from the ceiling because of maintenance?
He put her in a trash bag.
I'm showing you it's been marked as State's Exhibit 52 for identification.
Yes,
Kayla, do you recognize the item that's depicted in this image?
yes.
What is that?
The CMC diaper bag.
Is that a fair and accurate representation of the CMC diaper bag?
Yes,
And how about State's Exhibit 53?
yes,
Is that a fair and accurate representation
yes,
of the item that's depicted?
yes.
And what is that item?
It's the bag that Adam put Harmony in.
So you mentioned garbage bags that he put her in.
Yes,
What did he put those garbage bags into, if anything?
he put the garbage bags inside that bag.
So, Your Honor, at this point, I move to strike ID Strike what's been marked as ID and mark as full states exhibit 52 and 53.
An objection?
And I move to publish. Sorry.
52 and 53, the ID is stricken. They're entered as full exhibits and they may be published to the jury.
Kayla, how did Harmony's body fit into this bag?
Adam squished her in it.
I'm sorry, can you say that a little bit louder?
Adam squished her into the bag.
Yeah, I'm showing you it's been marked for identification as States Exhibit 85. Do you recognize this?
Yes.
Is this similar to that CMC bag?
Yes.
Is it in fact identical to that CMC bag?
Yes.
Then at this point, I move to strike the ID of States Exhibit 85 and mark as full and publish to the jury.
An objection? The ID is stricken. It's entered as full exhibit.
So the defendant put Harmony into garbage bags and he squished her into a bag like this one?
Yes.
This again was at that families in transition shelter.
Yes.
Where did he do that to her?
In the bathroom of the room that we stayed in.
Were you in the bathroom with him when you did that?
No.
Did you hear anything when he was doing that to her in the bathroom?
I heard a loud bang.
Did you see what was going on in there?
No.
You mentioned the defendant stuffing Harmony into the duffel bag
Yes.
at that intersection in the far guide.
Yes.
And then you mentioned him squishing her into this bag.
Yes.
Did she fill that bag, that CMC bag that you just saw?
Yes.
Her body filled that bag?
Yes.
And what did he do with the bag after he put her in there?
He put her back in the ceiling.
You mentioned being at the Families in Transition shelter for a month and a half.
Yes.
During that time, did the defendant begin discussing disposing of Harmony, getting rid of her body?
No.
At some point, did he begin discussing disposing of Harmony, getting rid of her body?
Yes.
And what was his plan? What was his idea for getting rid of her?
To use lime. And dismember her.
What did he believe that lime would do if he used it on her body? Did
The objection is sustained. So you can rephrase the question, please.
did the defendant tell you what he believed lime would do if he used it on Harmony's body?
Yes.
What did he tell you?
That it will help decay her body.
That it would help decay her body?
Yes.
Did he tell you what he believed dismembering her would do?
No.
But he told you that that was his plan?
Yes.
Counsel, can you approach for just a minute? The evidence that you've heard, we have said to you, we will take a, I think this is a good time to discuss the evidence that you've heard, bones.
I'll rise to the jury. Kayla, before, excuse me. Before we broke, you were telling us about your time in the fit shelter.
Yes.
And you mentioned the defendant taking Harmony's body out of that ceiling. She was still in the duffel bag.
Yes.
Brought her into the bathroom. Is that right?
Yes.
You said when he was in there, you couldn't see what was going on, but you heard a bang.
Yeah.
What was he doing to her?
Trying to fit her in that bag.
When you say trying to fit her into that bag, is that the bag like this one?
Yes.
You heard a bang while he was doing that.
Yes.
Did you hear any other noises?
No.
How long was he in the fit shelter bathroom trying to fit her into this bag?
About a couple hours.
You mentioned him putting her in garbage bags and then squishing her into a bag like that one.
Yes.
The duffel bag that he had initially put her in. What happened to that duffel bag?
He got rid of it.
Do you know what he did with it?
I don't know what he did with it. But it was no longer, we didn't have it anymore.
And was that after the bathroom?
Yes.
You said that Harmony's body was beginning to smell and that it was horrible.
Yes.
Did the defendant take measures to combat that smell?
Yes.
What did he do?
That is when he took her down from the ceiling and brought her into the bathroom to put her in the garbage bags and to get her to fit in that bag that's similar to that one. And he asked me to bring the bag to his job.
Where was his job at the time? Where was he working?
At Portland Pie in Manchester.
This is still while you were at the Families in Transition Shelter?
Yes.
How long did he work there for?
2 months.
And you said he asked you to bring the bag to him at work.
Yes.
Did you obey?
Yes.
About how did you get there from the Families in Transition Shelter to his work?
I walked
And where was the bag at that point?
in the stroller.
How long of a walk is that from the shelter to his work at Portland Pie?
About 10, 15 minutes.
Was anyone with you during that walk?
My 2 kids.
Why did you obey the defendant when he told you to bring Harmony's body in that bag to his work?
Because I was scared.
Are you aware of what he did with her body once you brought it to him?
Yes.
What did he do with it?
He put it.
Sustained. If you would rephrase the
Your
question.
Honor, you said you're aware of what he did with her body at his work at the Portland Pie Pizza Company. How are you aware of what he did with it, Kayla?
Because he told me that he put her in the freezer.
Was that the only time, to your knowledge, that he put her in the freezer, or were there more times where he brought her and put her in the freezer?
That was my only time.
I want to go back for just a moment. When he was in the bathroom, you said it was for several hours.
Yes.
Are you aware of him doing anything to clean up in that bathroom?
Yes.
Can you tell the jurors what he did to clean up?
He used ammonia to clean up anything that happened in that bathroom.
How do you know he used ammonia to clean up anything that happened in that bathroom?
Because he specifically bought it.
Were you with him when he bought it?
I don't remember.
But you remember him using ammonia to clean.
Yes.
Did he tell you what he believed the ammonia would do?
It wouldn't show evidence of any blood or fluids.
And did he tell you at that point why he didn't want evidence to be shown, why he didn't want anything to be shown down the road?
So he wouldn't get in trouble and nobody could find anything.
Why did he put Harmony in the freezer at the Portland Pie Pizza Company?
Because he said that if she's in the freezer, there wouldn't be any fluids or anything leaking.
At some point around that time, did you get tax returns, your tax refunds?
Yes.
Do you remember around when that was?
February or March, I believe, in 2021.
So I still want to talk about the time you were at the fit shelter. Did you eventually leave the fit shelter?
Yes.
And where did you live after the fit shelter?
Union Street in Manchester.
Do you remember when you moved into Union Street in Manchester?
Yes.
What day did you move there?
February 20th, 2020.
And did you sign a lease agreement for that apartment?
Yes.
Did you list Harmony as a child?
No.
How about on your tax returns? Did you list Harmony as a child?
Yes.
Can you tell the jurors why you did that?
Because She lived with us for 6 months or more, and Adam told me to leave her on there
Did he tell you why he wanted you to leave her on there?
so that it would just show that we still had her living with us.
So you moved into your apartment on Union Street on February 20th. Is that what you said?
Yes.
And that's of 2020.
Yes.
Where was he keeping Harmony at that point?
In the refrigerator of our apartment.
And I asked you earlier, and I think you said he began to discuss dismembering Harmony.
Yes.
What did he say about dismembering her?
That he just wanted to put her in, he would put her in pieces to get rid of her.
And was that at the Union Street apartment?
Yes.
That's where that discussion occurred?
Yes.
Did he ever discuss using tools on Harmony with you? Using tools on her body?
He said that he was going to try and use a saw. He wanted to use a hand saw or a NutriBullet.
And I want to unpack that.
And a NutriBullet. NutriBullet.
Kayla, I'm showing you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 63 for identification.
Yes.
Do you recognize the item that's depicted in this exhibit?
Yes.
Can you tell the jurors what it is?
It's a handsaw.
It's a handsaw?
Yeah.
Do you recognize this handsaw?
Yes.
When the defendant discussed dismembering Harmony, using tools on her,
Yes.
is this a saw that he discussed doing that with?
Yes.
Is this an accurate representation of that saw as you remember it?
Yes.
Your Honor, I move to strike ID, mark as full, State's Exhibit 63, and publish to the jurors.
Okay. The ID is stricken. It's entered as a full exhibit.
So this is the saw that he discussed using to dismember Harmony's body?
Yes.
That discussion again occurred at the Union Street apartment?
Yes.
You talked about something else just then, and we barely caught it. You mentioned a NutriBullet.
Yes.
Can you tell the jurors what that is, what a NutriBullet is?
It's like a blender that you can make smoothies in or any kind of puree food item.
And what did the defendant say about using a NutriBullet, a blender on Harmony?
When we lived on Union Street,
What did he say about it?
he said that it would be good to use. It would help get rid of her.
It helped get rid of Harmony.
Yes.
Earlier, you mentioned the defendant talking about lime, the idea that what was his idea? What was his purpose of using lime?
That it would help her body decay.
That's what he told you?
Yes.
Kayla, I'm showing you what's been marked for identification as State's Exhibit 62. Do you recognize this item?
Yes.
And what can you tell me about this item? Do you recognize anything, particular markings on this item?
The bag of lime on the left side is similar to the one that he had.
When you say it's similar to the one that he had, who's he? Who's the he that
Adam.
you're referring to?
Adam.
And is there a circle around that bag?
Yes.
And is there writing underneath it?
Yes.
Do you recognize that writing?
It's my initials.
Okay. Is this an accurate representation of the item that you circled and initialed?
Yes.
Did you write those initials?
Yes.
Did you circle this item?
Yes.
Why'd you do that?
To let it be known that that's the item that was similar to the one that he had.
Your Honor, I move to strike ID and mark as full and publish State's Exhibit 62.
Any objection? No, Your Honor. If the ID is stricken, it's entered as a full exhibit and it may be published.
Kayla, who were you with when you circled this bag of lime?
Detective Dunleavy and Riley.
Is that Max Rahill?
Yeah, that
Private
one.
detective?
Yeah.
So you're with law enforcement.
Yes.
And they asked you if you could identify. Have you seen?
Sorry, objection sustained.
Have you seen a bag of lime in your Union Street apartment?
Yes.
Where was that lime located in your Union Street apartment?
In the bathroom.
Do you know how that bag of lime got there?
No.
Did you buy that bag of lime?
No.
When you saw that bag of lime in the bathroom of Union Street, what was going on in that bathroom at the time?
Adam was trying to thaw her body.
When you say Adam was trying to thaw her body, what was he doing specifically?
Taking the clothes off of her and putting her in the bag of lime.
And when he was trying to thaw her body, where was Harmony's body at the time?
In the bathtub.
And that's when you saw the bag of lime?
Yes.
Did you see Harmony's body in the bathtub?
Yes.
I want you to tell the jurors what you saw of her body in that bathtub.
I saw Harmony in the bathtub, still folded together the same way that she was left in the bag when we took her out of the car. And she just looked like she had just barely any skin, like she was just a layer of skin and bone. And she was all bruised up.
And what was the defendant doing to thaw her?
He had the hot water running from the shower.
And where was the hot water running in the shower?
In the bathroom.
Where was the hot water running in relation to Harmony's body?
Union Street apartment.
Harmony's body, where was it in the Union Street apartment?
In the tub.
Was the hot water touching her?
Yes.
He was running it over her?
Yes.
And what was he doing to Harmony's body during this process?
Taking the clothes off of her.
Was he touching her at all during that process?
Yes.
Tell us how he was touching her.
He was cutting the clothes off of her and just thawing her.
Did he tell you to help him at some point?
Yes.
Did you obey him?
Yes.
Why?
Because I was scared.
How did you help him?
I helped him take the clothes off of her
How did he take the clothes off of her?
by cutting it with scissors.
What did he do with her body after he cut the clothes off of her?
Put her in the bag of lime.
You mentioned these clothes. What clothes was she wearing when you put her into that tub?
She had a hoodie on, and she had her leggings on. That's
Did you leave that bathroom at some point while he was in there?
yeah,
Why? Why'd you leave the bathroom?
because I needed to check on the kids, and I couldn't be in there anymore
And let's talk about that. What do you mean you couldn't be there in there anymore?
because I couldn't handle it. I didn't want to see anything.
How long was he in the bathroom for that day?
A few hours.
And that was with Harmony's body?
Yes.
At some point, did he close the door to the bathroom?
Yes.
Were you able to hear what he was doing in there?
No.
Were you able to, why weren't you able to hear what he was doing in there?
Because our neighbor next door always had loud music playing, and I couldn't tell what noises were happening.
You mentioned a shower being on earlier.
Yes.
Did that shower stay on after you left the bathroom?
It was on when I left the bathroom, yes.
And did it stay on? Did he leave it on?
Yes.
Did he take breaks from what he was doing in the bathroom at any point?
No.
Did he leave the bathroom at any point?
No.
How many bags did you see in the bathroom with him?
3.
And what was happening with each of those bags?
He had lime in the bags.
So one of the bags was a bag of lime.
Yes.
Was it a large bag or a small bag?
The bags that he was putting them in were large trash bags.
The bag that contains the lime, was that a large bag or a small bag?
It was a large bag.
A large bag of lime?
Yes.
You said that he was putting that lime into a bag.
Yes.
Was there anything else in the bag when he was putting the lime in?
No.
Did you see Harmony's body go into the bag?
No.
What happened to Harmony's body after it was in the bathtub?
It was in the CMC bag.
What did he do with the CMC bag?
Put Harmony in it.
What did he do with the lime that was in the bathroom?
It was in the big trash bags.
The lime was in the big trash bags?
Well, I know he put the lime in trash bags, but I didn't see that bag after.
Which bag did you not see after
The
that?
lime bag.
Did he also add lime to the CMC bag?
Yes.
Was he talking to you during this process?
No.
He was working.
Yeah.
At any point, did you see him remove Harmony's body from the bathtub?
No.
You mentioned earlier that he put Harmony's body back into the CMC bag.
Yes.
How do you know that he did that?
Because he put the bag back in the freezer after.
You mentioned garbage bags.
Yes.
What was he doing with the garbage bags in that bathroom?
He had the big garbage bags put in the CMC bag and had the lime in the bag.
And that clothing that you mentioned, he used scissors to cut off her clothing.
Yes.
What happened to her clothing? What happened to Harmony's clothes?
It was put in a trash bag.
Was anything else put into that trash bag with her or with the clothes?
Not that or the duffel bag.
So you saw the duffel bag again after the fit shelter.
Yes.
And that trash bag that the duffel bag went into, that the clothes went into, what happened to that trash bag?
I don't know.
Did the defendant tell you what he plans to do with that trash bag?
Throw them away.
Did he tell you specifically where he was going to throw it away?
He just said he wasn't going to leave them in our trash area. He was going to bring them somewhere.
Did he say why he wasn't going to leave them in your trash?
So that there's no evidence.
Do you recall telling investigators that when you saw Harmony in the bathtub, the defendant was squishing the liquids out of her?
No.
You mentioned earlier the defendant talked about dismembering Harmony.
Yes.
Did he do that in the bathroom?
I don't know.
That conversation about dismembering Harmony, conversation about using the tools, how close in time was that to the steps, the actions the defendant took in the bathroom?
Well, I know that the conversation with the tool happened when I lived with my mother.
Okay.
We were staying at my mother's house. And by the time that he was trying to, I don't even know what he did, but it was a few months after.
You mentioned earlier that the defendant squished Harmony at the fit shelter. He squished Harmony into that CMC bag.
Yes.
You said that her body filled that bag.
Yes.
How was he able to add lime to that bag if it was full of Harmony's body?
I don't know.
You don't know what he did in that bathroom.
No.
And I believe you said this already, but what did he do with the bag, the CMC bag, after he was done in the bathroom?
He put it in the freezer.
Did the defendant ultimately dispose of what remained of Harmony's body?
I don't know.
Did he get rid of her body
Not then.
at some point?
Yes.
And so I want to turn your attention to that. At some point, did he have a conversation with you about getting rid of that CMC bag, of getting rid of Harmony's body?
Yes.
And can you tell the jurors what that conversation involved, what he said?
He said that that he wanted to get rid of her body soon because he was scared that if anything ever happened, he was scared of what would happen to him and me and the kids.
And what steps did the defendant take to get rid of that CMC bag that had Harmony's body in it?
He got in touch with an old friend of his,
Do you remember that old friend's name?
Beach, Travis Beach.
Did you know Travis Beach at the time?
No,
Had you met him before?
no.
Do you know how the defendant got in touch with Travis Beach?
I don't know who reached out to who, but I knew it was about selling a gun.
And did Travis Beach ever come to your apartment?
Yes,
Did he come to your apartment with a female?
yes.
Do you know that female's name?
Brittany.
And is that Brittany Bedard?
Yes.
Yes?
You mentioned a Brittany coming to your house.
Yeah.
Do you recognize the person that's depicted in this image? And I should say for the record, I'm showing Kayla what's been marked for identification as State's Exhibit 55.
That's Declan.
You recognize the individual in this image?
Yeah.
And you said it's Declan?
Yes.
Who is Declan to you?
My son.
Did she stay at your house for very long?
A couple days.
Okay. And at some point after Travis Beach, Brittany Bedard arrived at your home on Union Street, did you go to a hotel with them?
Yes.
At some point after they came to your house that day, when you went to that hotel with them, did you become aware of a U-Haul?
Yes.
And what was the purpose of this U-Haul?
So that Adam can use it to dispose of Harmony's body.
Do you remember the name of the hotel that you stayed at?
The Econolodge.
And you mentioned not having an ID, not having a license. Whose name was that Econolodge room under?
Brittany.
Did they stay at the Econolodge with you?
Yes.
And were they in the same room as you, or a separate room, or something else?
Separate room.
When did you first become aware of the U-Haul?
Adam had talked to me about having her rent a U-Haul to use.
Did Adam tell you why he wanted her to rent a U-Haul to use?
Because she has a license and to have it in somebody else's name
Why did he want that U-Haul rental in someone else's name?
so that they can't prove that Adam rented it.
Did you see the U-Haul rental at any point?
Yes.
Can you describe the U-Haul rental for the jurors?
The rental U-Haul was a van, like a van that like people that do painting would use.
So it was a rental van.
Yes.
And I want to back up for just a moment. You said you were at the Econolodge Hotel. Was Harmony's body with you in that hotel?
Yes.
Where was that body? Where was Harmony being stored?
In the fridge.
Did the defendant tell you where he planned to dump Harmony's body?
No.
Did he leave with the rental van at some point?
Yes.
Did he leave with the CMC bag at the same time?
Yes.
When did he leave?
It was in the middle of the night.
Did he say anything to you before he left?
No,
Did he tell you what he was doing?
no, but I already knew what he was doing.
And that's because he told you before.
Yes.
Did he tell you specifically why he wasn't telling you where he was going, where he was dumping Harmony?
Yes.
Tell the jurors what he told you.
He said he wasn't telling me where he was bringing her so that if anything like this happened and the cops got involved, that I wouldn't be able to tell. I wouldn't know where she is, so I couldn't tell anybody where she is. Only he would know.
Kayla, where is Harmony's body?
I don't know.
Kayla, where did he dump Harmony?
I don't know.
Did he return to the hotel room?
Yes.
And when did he return?
It was like right before the sun came out
Did he say anything to you when he returned?
that he got rid of her.
That CMC bag, the one that he squished Harmony into,
Yes.
was it still with him?
No.
I want to switch gears, Kayla. I told you we'd get back to this, but I want to talk about the time that you were living in the fit shelter, the time you were living in your apartment on Union Street. At some point during that time frame, early 2020, did the defendant begin to suspect that you were informing on him?
Yes.
Did he suspect that you were informing on him about Harmony?
Sustained.
I'll rephrase. What did he suspect that you were informing on him about?
About killing Harmony.
And what did he do because of those suspicions?
He started abusing me.
I want to unpack that abuse. Can you tell the jurors what he did to you?
When he would accuse me of talking to police or detectives, he would ask me if I was telling, and I would say no. And he would say just to tell him the truth. And I wouldn't agree, saying that I did. And then because he would end up hitting me, and I finally said that I did, even though I didn't, but he still hurt me anyway.
You said that he ended up hitting you. He would still hurt me anyway.
Yes.
How did he hurt you, Kayla?
By punching me
Where did he punch you?
in the head.
What did he punch you with, Kayla?
His hands,
Open hand, closed fist, something else?
both,
How often did this happen to you? How often did he do this?
constantly. It just kept happening.
What was it like living with him back then, Kayla?
It was definitely not good.
Nine, Kayla?
Yes, it's me with 2 black eyes.
Is that a fair and accurate representation of you on that day?
Yes,
Do you remember what day this was?
March 17th,
Is that of 2020 or 2021?
2021.
Your Honor, I move to strike the ID mark as full and publish to the jury states exhibit 99.
Any objection? All right, the ID is stricken. This entered as a full exhibit. It may be published to the jury.
And Kayla, you said that the abuse started in early 2020.
Yes,
You said that this photo was taken in March of 2021.
yes,
You also said that this was a regular occurrence.
yes.
From the time that the abuse began until you took this photograph, was it consistent with the defendant? Was he consistently accusing you?
Yes,
Was he consistently hitting you?
yes,
Was he doing things to items in your house?
yes.
What was he doing to the items in your house?
Destroying everything. Breaking a lot of stuff
Why was he breaking things, Kayla?
because he thought that there was microphones in the house and I was telling on him. I thought there was cameras.
You said that he would hit you, that he would hurt you. Did he also threaten you?
Yes.
Tell the jurors what he said would happen to you.
He said that he would be able to contact his family member, his Uncle Kevin, and have him kill me and cut me in pieces, and nobody would be able to find me.
Did he say why that would happen? Why he would have that done?
If if I ended up telling on him
Telling on him about what?
about Harmony being murdered.
What else did the defendant do when he suspected that you were working with the police?
He was very abusive.
During one of those incidents, do you recall trying to call someone for help, trying to get help?
Yes.
And Kayla, let me ask you this. Do you know someone named Roseanne Smith?
Yes.
Who is Roseanne Smith to you?
She was the public transportation for the ride to the clinic.
I want you to tell the jurors about an incident involving Mrs. Smith.
I was going to the methadone clinic and I left without him while he was sleeping because he would tell me we're not going even when our ride showed up, but I ended up going while he was sleeping. And I was getting dropped off and I had a black eye, and Rose saw my black eye and I asked her if I could use her phone to call somebody so I could call my mom or somebody to help me. And he saw that I was using her phone and he came and ripped it out of my and her hand. I was handing her back the phone and he ripped it out of her hand and asked who I was calling. And he was being very aggressive.
And you were trying to call for help.
Yeah.
Do you know someone named Tara Hilbert?
Yes.
Tell the jurors about an incident involving Miss Hilbert.
Adam would tell me that I couldn't leave the house, and I ended up leaving and running out of the house, and I had my daughter in my arms, and I ran to Tara's apartment, which was right next door, and asked her if she could call my mom. And then Adam came out and followed me and put me in a chokehold and said to tell her to not call my mom, to don't make that phone call or else he's going to hurt me.
Kayla, why couldn't you leave the house?
Because he thought that I was trying to tell on him.
And let me ask you this, Kayla. When you left the house, were your two small sons still in the house with him?
Yes.
Why did you only take your daughter?
Because she was in my arms. I was already feeding her and I just ran out and to find help, and I could go back and get the kids.
The image that I showed you, you described having bruising, black eyes.
Yeah.
Does that day stand out to you, Kayla?
Yes.
Why does it stand out to you?
Because that's the day that I took the kids and left.
Are you still married to the defendant?
Yes.
When did you get married to him?
On Harmony's birthday in 2017.
Do you remember that day, Harmony's birthday?
Yes.
What day was it?
It was June 7th.
And can you tell us that date again that you left him?
It was March 17th, 2021.
Are you aware of whether or not he began a relationship with another individual after you left him?
No.
Do you know someone named Kelsey Small?
Yeah.
Did you ever meet Kelsey Small?
Yes.
Did officers in December of 2021 contact you regarding Harmony being missing?
Yes.
And you mentioned a lie earlier. Did you stick to that lie?
Yes.
I want you to tell the jurors why you stuck to that lie.
Because Adam told me to just stay saying that lie.
And so when they contacted you in December of 2021, you gave them that lie.
Yes.
And after they left you, did you contact Adam?
Yes.
What did he say when you contacted him?
He said not to say anything and to say I want a lawyer and don't tell them where he is.
Where was he at the time?
In Maine.
And did you tell him to get back here?
Yes.
Kayla, do you remember where you were on December 30th, 2021?
I was at the family shelter.
Do you remember going going to a Walmart that day?
Yes.
And Kayla, I'm showing you it's been marked as State's Exhibit 65 for identification.
Yeah.
Do you recognize the individuals that are depicted in that image?
It's Kelsey, Adam, and myself.
And can you point to Adam on that image? Is this a fair and accurate representation of you, Kelsey, and Adam at the Walmart on December 30th of 2021?
Yes.
Your Honor, I move to strike ID and mark as full State's Exhibit 65.
Any objection? The ID is stricken. It's entered as a full exhibit. It may be published to the jury.
And you said, you pointed here?
Yes.
That's Adam?
Yes.
Kayla, I'm showing you what's been marked for identification as State's Exhibit 90. I'm just going to ask that you look at each page in turn. Do you recognize the individuals depicted in these images?
Yes. It's Kelsey and me.
I'm sorry, say that again.
Kelsey and me.
Do you see the defendant anywhere in these images?
That's not him. No.
So it's Kelsey and you.
Yeah.
Again, is this the images that are depicted here accurate representations of you and Kelsey that day?
Yes.
Or no, I move to strike ID and mark as full State's Exhibit 90.
To trade phones in for money.
Do you go to the Walmart to do?
To trade phones in for money.
Do you remember how many phones you traded in that day?
Like 3 or more.
Whose phones did you trade in?
Mine and Adam's, and I don't know who else.
And can you remind us, who were you with at the Walmart that day?
It was myself, Kelsey, and Adam.
Kayla, we spoke earlier about your convictions.
Yes.
Was that actually part of a plea agreement that you entered into?
Yes.
The testimony that you've provided today, what is your testimony based on?
Actually being there?
Is it based on the truth?
Yes.
At some point, you were charged with perjury, and we talked about that earlier. But after that charge, did you agree to proffer information, to provide information to the state?
Yes.
What was the sentence that you received for your charges, your perjury charges?
I got a 3.5 to 7 suspended, and then I got a 3.5 to 7 with 1.5 off my minimum.
And what portion of that prison sentence are you currently fulfilling today?
My minimum.
What's the suspended portion of your sentence as a whole?
It's 3.5 to 7 for 10 years.
Other than the sentence conditions and your cooperation agreement with the state, are there additional conditions that you have to follow right now?
To tell the truth.
What happens if you breach that agreement? What happens if you violate that agreement?
Then I get charged with whatever you guys decide to charge me with. with all my charges that got dropped and whatever else.
Kayla, what's your primary obligation under that agreement?
To tell the truth.
And I want to follow up just briefly with a few of the things that you've said. You testified earlier that the defendant told you he hit Harmony back in July of 2019.
Yes.
You said that he gave Harmony a black eye that day.
Yes.
You said that he murdered Harmony on December 7th, that you witnessed him murder Harmony on December 7th, 2019.
Yes.
You said that you saw him carry Harmony's body for months and compressing her, squishing her into a bag.
Yes.
You said that after months of carrying her, he ultimately disposed of Harmony's body.
Yes.
I'm going to ask you if you're able to identify the person that you've said did those things. Kayla, I'm showing you what's been published as State's Exhibit 101. Do you recognize the individual that's depicted in this image?
Yes.
Who is that?
Adam Montgomery.
Is that the Adam Montgomery that you refer to as abusing you for those months and months?
Yes.
The same one that you said gave Harmony a black eye, confessed to giving Harmony a black eye.
Yes.
The same one that beat Harmony to death, that murdered her in the Sebring.
Yes.
Kayla, at any point, did you pull Harmony out of the Sebring and stuff her into that duffel bag?
No.
At any point, did you fold her in half as you described the defendant doing?
No.
Did you walk her to Badero's?
No.
Did you take her and put her in the ceiling of your room at the fit shelter?
No.
Did you smush her into a CMC bag like the one I showed you earlier?
No.
Did you compress her further and add lime to her in the bathroom of your Union Street apartment?
No.
Did you put her in a U-Haul van and dump her somewhere?
No.
Who did those things, Kayla?
Adam Montgomery.
At any point when you were living in that vehicle after you've been evicted, were you ever alone with Harmony?
No.
Why not?
Because we were just always in the car.
Kayla, I want you to look at these jurors. Kayla, did you kill Harmony?
No, I did not.
Did you beat her to death?
No, I did not.
Were you alone with her when she died?
No, I was not.
If I could have just a moment. Kayla, thank you. I have no additional questions for you.
All right. Council, I think this is a good time for the lunch break. So ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take an hour lunch break now. So please return at 1:05. I remind you, do not discuss this case with anyone, not with each other or with anybody.
Okay, so now we're going to hear a little bit of what the defense has to say to Kayla. This is her first day on the stand, and the defense has a couple things to go over with her, and then they're going to call it a day until the last Monday when she took the stand again. So Kayla was on the stand for 2 days in a row. I'm only going to play what they played on the Friday. And then the rest we can go over at a later date because her testimony is really long. But I want you guys to hear again what the defense points out so we can hear that again.
Stuff that you said it.
Ms. Montgomery, I just remind you that you remain under oath.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'm gonna have a lot of questions, but I do want to go back to some of the stuff that you said at the end and make sure I understand. I think you said that you were never alone with Harmony once you were evicted.
Right.
And I think you said pretty much the whole family unit stayed in the car.
Yes.
And that was from the time that you were evicted.
Yes.
And I think you also said something about from the time that you were evicted, every time you were in public, Harmony had to be under a cover.
Yes.
Okay. And you talked about an accident that was on November 29,
Yes.
and that's the day after Thanksgiving,
Yes.
a couple of days after you got evicted.
Yes.
And after that, on the same day of that accident, you actually went with the family to your mother's house.
Yes.
And so you, Harmony, Declan, and Seamus are there with your mother and her boyfriend and Adam.
Yes.
You were not in the car at that time.
No, we were inside the apartment.
And Harmony was not under a blanket.
No.
And on December, what is it? 2nd, you and Adam got.
So what I'm wanting to know is, so she says this was November 29th. This is the day after Thanksgiving. They visit her mom, and her mom did testify and say that she did see Harmony and that Harmony looked well and happy. So if she had already started having accidents in the car, and every time she had an accident, she already had bruises on her, and she was already, like, she just testified and said that he would cover her with the blanket, even as early as early no, even as early as the November 26th, 7th, and 27th dates. So if she had bruises and stuff, how did Kayla's mom not see any of those bruises on Harmony? I said, I don't understand.
Gotten another bit of a fender bender, right? Okay. You and Adam gotten another bit of a fender bender, right?
Yes.
And that was out near Market Street, right?
Yes.
And the kids were not in the car that time, right?
I don't remember.
You don't remember that they were not in the car?
I don't remember if they were in the car or not.
Okay. So do you remember talking to the police about that traffic accident
Yes.
and telling them that you thought, where'd it go? That Harmony was being babysat by Tabitha Scott?
Yes.
Because Harmony and Declan and Seamus were not in the car that accident, right?
From when I was being told, asking to remember that.
I beg your pardon?
I was being asked that question before.
Uh-huh.
And I said maybe they were being babysat by Tabitha because I didn't remember if they were in the car or not.
Okay. You couldn't remember who might be babysitting them, either your mother or Tabitha, right?
Right.
So
I don't remember not having them in the car.
Okay, so she doesn't remember not having them in the car, but the police officer said there was no children in the car for that accident, and she can't remember whether Tabitha Scott or her mom had her children that day. So her mom already testified, and that wasn't mentioned. So that, again, that's why I say we need Tabitha Scott to testify.
Okay. If I showed you a copy of the police report on that accident, would that help refresh your recollection of whether or not the kids were in the car?
Yes.
Copy of a report. It's 4 pages, and you can read anything you want to refresh your recollection, but I would start perhaps there, that talks about the gist of the accident.
Okay.
Does that refresh your recollection about whether the kids were in the car?
No.
It doesn't?
No.
Okay, I'm gonna ask you about that conversation with the police. About, you recall the accident,
Yes.
and you recall that it was near Market Street,
Yes.
and you recall that accident when you were talking to the police, correct?
Yes.
And I have a copy of that. We'll go back a little bit. You had a conversation with the police June 3rd. You recall that?
Of what year?
I'm sorry, 2022.
Yes.
And during that conversation, the police asked you about that accident, right?
Yes.
And when they asked you about the accident, they suggested that with it being at Market Street in the morning, you had probably just gone to the clinic, right?
Yes.
And they asked you where the kids were, right?
Yes.
And you said, I think Tabby was watching them. I think, I'm not 100% sure, but I don't remember if it was her or my mom, but I don't know because I wasn't really at my mom's house yet because we went on the 11th.
Yes.
Okay. So when they asked where the kids were, you thought that they were being babysat by Tabitha, perhaps your mother.
Yes.
Okay, I just caught on to something. So she said when she was talking to police on June 3rd of 2022, and they questioned her about the accident on 11/29/19, she said she couldn't remember where her kids were, whether they were with Tabitha or her mom, because they weren't at her mom's until the 11th. Did she mean December 11th? And if so, then that's why the mom doesn't remember seeing Harmony, because Harmony was gone already by the 7th. But they were at the mom's before December 11th, right?
From my mom, but I don't know because I wasn't really at my mom's house yet because we went on the 11th.
So they went on the 11th to her mom's. Okay, that's confusing. Not there until the 11th. I wonder what she meant by that, because she said that as like in 2022.
Yes.
Okay. So when they asked where the kids were, you thought that they were being babysat by Tabitha, perhaps your mother.
Yes.
So I'm going to start with actually probably this investigation. And you were contacted by police. Sorry. Don't mix that, but you were contacted by police in December of 2021, right?
Yes.
But there had actually been information in the media about looking for Harmony Montgomery, right?
Yes.
And you had actually seen things in the newspaper about Crystal Sorey wanting to find her daughter.
Yes.
And then when the police came to you, they wanted to talk to Adam about his daughter, right?
Yes.
And at that time, you and Adam were separated, right?
Yes.
You were living in the shelter.
Yes.
This was your second time at the Fit shelter, right?
Yes.
And Adam was in Maine, right?
Yeah.
And when they talked to you, you told them that as far as you knew, Adam had taken Harmony to his mother's, right?
Her mother's, yes.
I'm sorry, thank you. And you said that you thought Adam was in Maine,
Yes.
but you didn't give them a way to get in touch with him.
Right.
But you got in touch with him.
Yes.
And you said for him to come back to Manchester.
Yes.
You said that he needed to deal with this too.
Yes.
And you said that you were not dealing with it by yourself.
Yes.
And you said, this is not my fault.
Yes.
And Adam came when you contacted him.
Yes.
And he came to Manchester.
Yes.
But he came to Manchester with a woman,
Yes.
Kelsey Small.
Yes.
And you two had been separated since March of 2021.
Yes.
Actually, St. Patrick's Day, wasn't it?
Yes, that's when I left.
You left and you called the police.
Yes.
And Adam got arrested, right?
Yes.
And he was in jail for a while, right?
30 days, yes.
And you said he was going crazy, right?
Yes.
That he started going crazy and accusing you of all sorts of stuff.
Yes.
And he actually struck you.
Yes.
And you called the police.
Yes.
And you stayed with your mom for a little bit after that.
Yes.
And then you were back at the shelter.
Yes.
But you did have a place and the shelter was fine with you being there.
I didn't have a place.
You had a place at the shelter.
Yes.
Sorry. Okay. And you contacted Adam.
Yes.
You contacted him quite a bit while he was gone, right?
Yes.
Because he was in jail for a bit and then he went to Farnham Center, right?
Yes, I gave him a ride. So our transportation drove him to the farm center.
And then he went to a sober house.
Yes.
And while at the sober house, you two communicated.
Yes.
But you thought he might be fooling around on you then.
Yes.
And you get mad at him.
Yes.
And you tell him you couldn't see the kids.
I don't remember that.
You'd get mad at him.
I remember saying that he couldn't see the kids.
Okay. Sometimes you'd get mad at him.
Yes.
And you'd communicate your anger to him.
Yes.
And then sometimes you got jealous.
Yes.
And you'd communicate your jealousy to him.
But that I didn't know that he was with a girlfriend at those times.
Right. You just were jealous. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Whether it was Kelsey or not, you didn't know what was going on, but
because he was accusing me too.
right,
So,
right. It was sort of a back and forth relationship between the two of you,
Right.
right? And you'd get mad at him, or he might get mad at you, right?
yes.
But when things were, but you were actually both of you sort of trying to get together too, right?
Yeah, we were trying to have our family back together.
Yeah. You considered him your best friend when things were good.
Yes. He was the
And-
same way with me too.
Right. You two were pretty connected when things were good, right?
Yes.
And sometimes even when things were not so good.
Right.
Pretty solid with each other.
Yeah.
And so when Adam showed up with this woman in December of 2021, when you called him and told him to come back, you didn't like her.
No.
I think you called her thing.
Yeah.
But you needed to work with Adam to get through this investigation, right?
That's not why I was being nice to him. Was not because of this situation.
Okay. Okay. The police talked investigation, right? But you needed to work with Adam to get through this investigation, right?
That's not why I was being nice to him. Was not because of this situation.
Okay. Okay. The police talked to you before you told Adam to come back, but they talked to you after you told Adam to come back too, right?
Yeah.
And you would tell the police that he took Harmony to his mother's.
Yes.
And one time they asked you to come into the police station and talk to him.
Yes.
And you did go into the police station and talk to him, right?
Yes.
You went in voluntarily, right?
Yes.
You said that you didn't need a lawyer.
No, I never said that.
You said you talked to him without a lawyer, right?
I said I wanted a lawyer, but that didn't happen.
Oh,
But I felt like I was doing the right thing.
because you wanted to do the right thing?
Yes.
So you went to the police station to do the right thing for the investigation.
Right.
And you went to the police station to do the right thing for Harmony.
Right.
And you went to the police station and told them that as far as you knew, Adam drove Harmony to Crystal's.
Yes.
So you went to the police station to do the right thing, which was to lie?
No, that's not what I said when I went to the police station without a lawyer.
Okay. Do you recall that after you talked to them for a very long time, they gave you a chance to pull your thoughts together and be alone and maybe write down what you wanted to say?
Yes.
And that you did take that time to write down what you wanted to say to them, right?
Yes.
And they came in and you handed them the note, right?
Yes.
And they read the note, right?
Yes.
And they read it out loud for the record.
Yes.
And they had you sign the note, right?
Yes.
And in that note, you said, I don't know what happened. No clue. I just know he left to bring her to meet her mom to give Harmony to her after he dropped me off at work in the morning.
Yes.
And you wrote, I'm done talking. And you wrote a little bit more. And then you said, I can't help anymore. I'm sorry. I can't help you. Look at me, however. And I actually can't read it. To show you a copy of Exhibit A2 for ID and actually ask you what it says.
Can look at me, however.
And I'm asking you if you said this stuff, if you need to refresh your recollection, you can, okay?
Okay.
So you said, I'm sorry, I can't help. You can look at me however. Think of me however. You just need to get him to talk because I can't get him to say anything to me. He won't tell me anything. So he obviously did something and isn't saying anything to me. And if he isn't telling me, how am I supposed to help you? I'm done talking. And then it goes on a little more for other stuff that I won't say. Okay.
Okay.
Is that what you wrote for him?
Yes.
And you were done talking, right?
And I remember it saying I want a lawyer.
You did, right? In that
Yes.
letter.
Yes.
And you said that you were done talking and you were getting your lawyer and you wanted to go home now, please, right?
Yes.
So, Your Honor, I'd like to offer this as a full exhibit. Done something wrong. So essentially you were pointing the finger at Adam having done something wrong, not you, right?
Right.
And you were lying to the police about what happened, right?
Right.
And you were giving them a lie that pretty much gave you, made you look completely innocent.
Yes.
Okay. And then they came to you another time?
Yes.
While you were at the Fitz shelter?
Yes.
And they wanted to ask you about Adam, right?
Yes.
Because they actually saw you and Adam talking outside of the Fitz shelter and Adam had just walked away and they came up, right?
I don't remember how that went, but I guess.
Okay. Pretty much right after Adam walked away, they walked up, right?
I don't remember that.
Okay. When they told you that they wanted to talk about Adam, you just sort of smiled at him and walked away, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And when the officer asked you to come to the police department, you said you'd already told him everything, right?
Yes.
And that was a lie as well, right? And then during that interview, you also told them that you didn't understand why Crystal was saying she didn't have harmony.
Yeah.
And in that, and what you told the police back then was that you didn't have a clue what had happened, right?
Right.
And again, you are distancing yourself so that you have no fault in this, right? They can't blame you.
That's not what I was doing. I was doing what I was told to do the whole time.
Okay. Well, Adam got arrested on January 5th, right?
Yes.
You got arrested on January 6th.
Yes.
You knew that Adam was arrested, right?
Yes.
And you were arrested for something that eventually became a theft charge, right?
Yes.
And after you were arrested, you were incarcerated.
Yes.
You were incarcerated for several months.
Yes.
And you wanted to get out.
Yes.
You worked very, very hard to get out, right?
Yes.
You worked very hard to get into rehabilitation shelters and the like in hopes that you could get out to the shelter on bail.
Yes.
And it took a long time, right?
Yes.
I think it was May 6th you finally got out.
Yeah, it was 4 months.
Pardon?
4 months.
Okay. So May 6th is about right?
Yes.
I want to talk about some of the things going on while you were in jail, waiting to get out. Adam, by the way, you knew was not out on bail, right?
Right.
And you knew he could not get out on bail, right?
Right.
You had the ability to get out on bail, but he did not.
I didn't know he didn't have a chance to get out on bail.
Okay.
I didn't know what was going on with him.
Okay. What do you mean you didn't know what was going on?
I didn't know what his situation was with either getting out or not getting out or trying to get out. I had no idea.
Okay. You were sort of following events while you were incarcerated, right?
Not really.
Okay. You were following what was going on with Adam while you were incarcerated, right?
I don't know.
Okay. Do you remember talking to people about the fact that Adam was still talking to Kelsey on the phone while he was incarcerated?
Yes.
Okay. So, and you were saying, I have ways of finding things out, right?
No.
Okay. We'll get back to that in a second. During that period of incarceration that you wanted to get out, you did not tell the police the truth of what happened to Harmony, right?
Right.
You didn't tell the police how Harmony died.
Right.
You didn't tell them when she died.
Right.
You didn't tell them anything truthful at all, right?
Right.
And then while you were in jail, you sort of thought about your own trouble and maybe how to get out of trouble, right?
Not just my own trouble, but okay.
What do you mean?
I don't know how to explain it.
You thought about missing the kids, you mean? Their trouble too, because they didn't have their mother?
Yeah, and Adam. I was still thinking about Adam too.
Okay. You were thinking about Adam, weren't you?
Yeah.
And while you were thinking about how to get out of trouble, you sort of wrote some of your thoughts down on paper about how to get out of trouble, right?
Not how to get out of trouble, just what I was thinking. Yes.
About what you wanted while you talked about betraying Adam, right?
Right.
To get what you wanted, right?
No.
Okay. I'm going to show you a copy of what is marked for ID as G10. Let's see if you recognize these writings. And you finished?
Yeah.
Do you recognize those writings?
Yes.
And those are writings of your thoughts that you put to paper about what you wanted to betray Adam, right?
No. They are my thoughts. Yes.
Okay. Well, let's go. One of the things that you wanted was one last time with Adam, right?
Right.
You wanted one last time to maybe kiss him or make love.
Yep.
And what you didn't write was that you wanted protection from Adam, right?
Right.
What you didn't write was that you were afraid of Adam, right?
Right.
Because you didn't want protection from Adam, right?
I wasn't thinking about that.
Okay. You just wanted to be with him one last time before you, as you put it, betrayed him, right?
Yes.
And having one last time with Adam before you talked to the police, you felt like he would understand and he would love you back, right?
No, I'm thinking about the conversation that him and I had before
About
the kids still having their mother when
okay,
the situation occurs,
right?
and that he would take everything
Yeah,
so that I could be with the kids.
right. You two talked about that and what would happen, and you both agreed that you were the mother. You were more important to the kids, right?
Right.
That you were the mother of his children, right?
Right.
And you needed to be there for his children,
Right.
right? And you needed to be around more than he needed to be around.
No.
You actually wanted him to not be caught, right?
Yeah, I didn't.
Pardon?
I didn't.
And you wanted him to not be blamed for the death
Right.
because he didn't do what you said he did.
He did do what he did.
Okay. Well, one of the things that you wanted, other than being alone one last time, was immunity. Immunity for everything, the charges you were facing and what you were about to say, right?
Right.
And it's what you were about to say about Adam, right?
Right.
You weren't going to say anything about you if you didn't have to, right?
I was going to say everything.
Okay. And you wanted the kids in your life. You didn't want to lose custody of your kids, right?
Right.
And you wanted treatment, right?
Right.
You wanted mental health counseling, right?
Right.
And immunity from everything. Where did you learn about immunity? For Adam told you about immunity?
Yeah.
And this is things that you're going to talk to your lawyer about?
Yes.
Okay. And you thought that you want to see what the AG has to offer, but you don't want to end up being screwed yourself by them, right?
Right.
You didn't want them to play games with you and then you would get fucked in the end, right?
Yeah, because that's what Adam said that they would do.
Okay. It was all Adam, right?
I am my own person, but yes.
Okay. And you said, I am so fucked. I should just, I don't know, for Harmony, for me, for my kids, so you actually thought maybe I will help with the investigation for Harmony.
Yeah.
And one of the things is you were noticing that Seamus was having a hard time, as well as Declan, and you didn't want them to get adopted out, right?
Right.
And it's one of the things that you talked to Adam about when you two agreed not to talk about Harmony's death was that people would take the children.
Right.
And you didn't want people to take the children, right?
Right.
And you would rather hide Harmony's death than have the state come and take the children from you, right?
That's not what I was thinking.
Okay. But you two talked about it and how important it was for you to be there with the kids and for them not to take the children, right?
Yes.
And it is a conversation that you and Adam had after you discovered Harmony's death.
Yes.
And it is something that you agreed to after you discovered Harmony's death, right?
Yes.
And Adam did agree to take the fall after you discovered Harmony's death and had that conversation.
Yes.
And as you said, when you two were in sync, it was about as tight as it could be, right?
Right.
Best friends, do anything for the other.
Right.
That note was your thoughts for what you wanted your attorney to talk to the AG about, right?
Yes.
And that note was found in your cell, hidden like between the mattress and the frame?
No, it was in a book.
Okay. But it was found during a regular cell search, right?
Yes.
And the COs asked you about that note.
Yes.
And you said that you wanted to talk to the AG.
Yes.
And when you hoped to talk to the AG, those were the conditions that you wanted to get.
Yes.
And you did not have a conversation with the AG in January, right?
No.
Didn't have a conversation with the AG in February, right?
No.
Didn't have a conversation with the AG in March, right?
No.
But you did get a subpoena for the grand jury.
Yes.
And you understood what the grand jury was.
Yes.
And you did get out May 6th, right? That
Yes.
was before the grand jury, right?
Yes.
And you still didn't talk to the AG before you went to the grand jury.
Right.
By the way, I would like to have that introduced as a full exhibit. That would be G for ID. Coach?
Sorry, I'm gonna forward through the rest of today's testimony. I'm sorry. This was the last Friday, not today. I'm tired.
Sorry, I couldn't do. So in any event, you, after that note was seized, you asked to talk to VHG. You did.
Okay, so the timestamp that we're at right now for that testimony is 5:08:47, like you can see on the screen. If you want to continue listening to her testimony, because it is really long, I'm gonna continue listening to it offline and take notes and that sort of thing. But I just wanted to kind of go over like some of the things that I have forgot about because I only listened to the one time. I had yet to go back and listen. So it has been a long day. Tomorrow is court. It's going to be another long day. So I will be streaming that starting at 8:45 Eastern. Well, like 8:15 Eastern, I'll be live. So I will see you all back here tomorrow morning. And for now, I am going to just relax and watch the rest of this and just see if I can catch anything that I didn't catch before. But thank you all for being here for Justice for Harmony Montgomery. I hope that the jury does the right thing. And, you know, if Kayla doesn't get any time, if her deal stands and she's not held accountable, we do have to remember that she is living in her own hell. She has to live with what she, her part in it. And that is her punishment. And that's something one of my best friends told me. And, it's true. She might not be in prison for it, but she has the rest of her life to deal with it. And that's a lot. That's heavy. So again, Justice for Harmony. Thank you all. And I will see you all tomorrow morning. And I hope you have a great evening. You're welcome, Irene. Thank you for being here. So yeah, I'll be live again tomorrow morning, you guys. So yeah, see you then. Y'all have a great day. See you later, Grandmammy Annie. Bye.